Hello, everybody, and welcome to the U of T Esports Twitch channel. My name is Spaffles. I'm going to be your host today and your play-by-play caster, joined by the lovely Iloan. Iloan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you. What about you?
I'm doing lovely, thanks. And I'm especially doing good since we have such a exciting matchup ahead of us tonight. So, for those of you that haven't been tuned in, we have the UTLA Intramurals finals brackets going on currently. Yesterday, we had an exciting quarterfinal series between Los Polos Hermanos and the 4.5 Inters. Make sure to go check out the Twitch VOD if you want to go see that one. But for tonight, we have the Stardust Crusaders, aka TSC, versus Team Schedules Mismatched, which I think is also going to be a very exciting match.
So in TSM, we have Panzer Table to 2099, We Plays, Kai, Rabbit King, and Introvert Giraffe in support.
Yep, on TSM, a big player to look out for is going to be Rabbit King. And as we head into TSC, now looking at the layout, I've got Kaizen, Ahoy Hoy, Electro Speeder, Accept Defeat, and Upa. Big names for a big team, and a lot of players here that are raring to go, looking to prove their worth. Now, if any of you are TSC enjoyers in the chat, they did end up being the higher seed in this matchup, so they do get to pick the first side that they are starting off with this series. They did pick the red side, as you can see, so we're going to be starting off with an interesting game of cat and mouse between these two guys in the draft. As you know, red team is often really dictated by your counter pick potential. You're able to, obscure your draft a little bit more, and you're able to deploy your picks in a way that you can really catch people off guard. But then again, the difference between TSC and TSM standings has been just one series win or loss. So things will overall be very close between these two teams.
Yeah, I wonder who they're gonna keep that last pick for, that counter pick, because that can have a massive impact in the draft.
Yeah, currently right now in the meta, there isn't really a very set standard. You typically want to play around your, strongest players. If you've been paying attention to Worlds, for examples, you've seen that there's been a lot of high impact priority put on your mid laners, your top laners, your junglers in your early first three picks, and then you sort of leave your ADC support to go in later towards the end.
Yeah, we see here the first bans, both jungle, well, Hecarim jungle and Echo probably for mid actually more nowadays, and Lux for support. TSC support plays a lot of Lux support.
Yeah, Lux and Hecarim are interesting picks here. You don't really see them too often in the game nowadays, at least when you're playing in the ranked grind. But it's going to really sort of help channel both of these teams and prevent some sort of counterplay options that would otherwise be available to them. We see TSM walking in a first pick Senna. Senna is very impactful currently. She can be played either AD carry or support. So I'm interested in seeing what kind of flex they decide to suit her into now.
I think they're going to be playing her support. I think TSM support Introvert Giraffe is a pretty big Senna player in solo queue, it appears.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. And we do see Ezreal get picked out for TSC. Now, starting off with, right, if you're picking a Senna support, you are going to put a lot of burden actually on the rest of your team when you're trying to draft stronger overall compositions, because then you're putting a lot of the onus on your jungler, you're putting a lot of pressure on your top laner even to sort of pick that tanky character, pick that front line, and start to really balance out your composition. Now TSC also lock in the Nico, so we have an Ezreal Nico bot lane. It seems Nico has been a very high pressure point in the past, and for me particularly, I really dislike the the minion counting mini game that it sort of becomes sometimes. But if you've been watching Keria, for example, there's just an endless number of plays that this Nico can make.
And immediately locking in Trundle Diana. What do you think? Where do you think these are going? Top lane jungle, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, Trundle being a top laner is very, very standard. It also serves again to win out in that 1v1 or even the 2v2 top side, making sure that those tank picks are really nullified by the R's resistance steal. And Diana, once upon a time, she was like really heavily contested mid lane, but now more so, she's been converted into that jungler role. And as a carry jungler, she does serve her purpose very well. And on the side of TSC, we do see Nivea get picked out to close off the first half of the draft. What are your thoughts on the Nivea?
I think at Worlds we didn't see it at the start, for example, and then it slowly kind of
Yep.
shifted into the meta. We saw it a lot more for like these kind of controlling styles of comps that where you wanted to like let the enemy run into them and like set up around objectives. And with the
Yep.
Ezreal and the Nico, I feel like they can really put out like a lot of poke and like just kind of keep the enemy at bay, right?
Yeah, it's also quite a bit of consistent scaling. We've seen the Roa Seraphs builds. You're going to want to go with a long play with Anivia, and if you're picking anyone to do that with, she's pretty solid in the current meta. And
For sure.
excuse me. Moving on to TSC in the ban phase, they're banning out Kaisa, so they're looking to remove some more of those 80 carry options. Kaisa is notably a very strong engaged character, very good at following up with the rest of your team and really playing for those memento, the swing fights. We see a Shen ban coming out from TSM, and Aphelios to follow that up with Gwen is the last ban of this match night.
Yes. Quite interesting. So top lane bans mostly focusing on top lane. I guess characters that could be counterpicking to Trundle that would be annoying. I assume the Gwen matchup must not be great, especially with all the AP damage. Very good at dealing with just consistent DPS in lane, right? The Shen, I'm more surprised
Yep.
with because Trundle I feel like should be good into HP stacking characters like Shen.
Yeah, it could also be a point of it is trying to facilitate that side lane gameplay, removing the ability for Shen, because most Shens these days will take TP and they'll also have their ultimate, so they're able to really outmaneuver you around the map. They buy a Hydra. It's gonna be really hard to keep up with it, especially if you're just a Trundle who wants to be everywhere all at once. We do see a Dr. Mundo come out from TSC on R4. Dr. Mundo is a pretty solid against scaling character. He does have some favorable matchups in lane where he's able to skirt by pretty nicely. In this case, I think that Trundle is going to be laughing his way to the bank if he's able to to find himself on top of the Mundo once or twice. And then on TSM, we also see that they have Vayne and Ornn picked.
Yeah, Vayne, interesting. I mean, into the Mundo, I see the percent health true damage as definitely very valuable, and also very an 80 carry that can definitely like kind of solo carry team fights, dash around all over the place, dodge dodge the Nico ult, dodge the Ezreal Qs. So I think in the team fights, it's definitely something to watch.
Yep. And it does seem like I stand corrected because they picked a Renekton for TSC R5. So the Renekton is going to be going top lane, and then the famous Mundo jungle is going to be making an appearance. So Mundo is powerful character, powerful late game, and you pick in the jungle role, and then you get to kind of skip most of that early game struggle.
Get some free scaling.
Yeah. Yep. So now that we see both of these full team comps, so now that we see both of these full team comps, what are your thoughts on how this matchup is going to look?
Sure. I think, honestly, the Ornn is a great pick here. I think it's going to be able to survive lane against Renekton pretty well, even though it's got counterpicked. And it really gives you that engage that you lacked because you picked the Senna support, right? So thanks to that, you're going to really get that engage. That Ornn Horn is really going to be able to let you start team fights when you want, get everyone knocked up, and the Diana can go in when she wants. And that's really going to let you engage on your own terms, I think.
Yeah, and now that we have this full draft, I'm interested in seeing if TSM might mix things up a little bit. I know it's not so much of a thing anymore with the new Senna, but a very popular old combo used to be Senna and Ornn in the bot lane. Comboing together and making sure that you're getting by while Vayne can sort of bully whoever the matchup in the top is. Now, as we look at, I mean, as for the rest of it, right? TSC, they're going to thrive on being even. They want to go into the late game and they want to, stall things out while they wait for their carries to come online. And I think as a response, TSM did draft into that quite nicely, although some elements of their comp might fall off. The Diana might start to lose a little bit of power. But other than that, I do see a very successful late game in the books for both of these teams.
So, I mean, in the end, we are looking, I think, at a similar meta to Worlds in some ways, right? We have the tank tops, the Mundo jungle, the Trundle, which is going jungle, I guess. We were thinking was going top.
Yep.
Seems to be going jungle, which was played a lot in Worlds, really high priority, right? And which is going to really have good value against that Mundo, and that Renekton as well is going to be having a lot of HP stacking. So, and then the Diana mid, which is the surprising pick, really, I'd say.
Yeah, when you look at Diana mid, I agree. I made the call out earlier on in the draft that Diana used to be a really popular mid, and then to see her get put in there is a little bit on the surprising side. She will struggle quite a bit into Anivia, especially because Anivia starts off with the egg, has the 2 lives. Diana doesn't have enough sustained damage to deal with that. So mostly what you're going to be playing for is she's going to be playing for clearing the wave and trying to head out and make her presence known on the map, especially post 6.
Yeah, I think bot lane is going to be a strong point of contention here, because I think whichever bot lane can get ahead here can really try and snowball that lead, especially with an Ezreal Nico. You can really try and poke your opponents out of lane really hard. So if they can get if Diana can come in and try and relieve that pressure on the bot side, that can really help, like, on the long term, help the way the map will work out, I think.
Yep, and in terms of objectives, I think that both of these teams would be incredibly happy to get grubs this game. Both of these teams, being late game oriented, would also love to get those dragons. TSM are going to really be the ones to have their first dibs on any of these objectives, because the Trundle just is a very strong early game skirmisher, especially with certain room setups. So I'm interested in seeing what the team sort of decides to prioritize. Do they want to go for that guaranteed win condition with the dragons, or are they going to play for grubs, play more aggressively in the meantime?
I think you're right that both teams will want grubs, but I think TSM needs to really focus Drakes, because when they come to late game, they're going to have to walk into an Anivia, putting down ults, putting down walls. There's going to be Nico clones walking around that could be ulting them, Ezreal throwing spells in their face, and then a big Mundo in the front line just kind of pushing them off. And I think it's going to be really hard for them to kind of get the grip and, like, walk into these spots if they come second.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sort of racking my brain and thinking of different things or different points to talk about in the draft, but sort of to pivot onto a slightly different discussion. So Ilon, we haven't really casted before, but what's your sort of experience level with League? Like, what's your relationship with the game?
So I got into League pretty recently. So it was, I guess I started playing League like three and a half years back, because my cousin was playing League. Like, try it out. We played together. And then I watched Worlds for the first time. I started watching Worlds.
Nice.
Watching League of Legends by watching the T1 Weibo Worlds final, which was an interesting Worlds final. The final after the final, you could say. And then I kind of just was like, yo, this is cool. I like the hype. I like the teams. I like T1, of course.
Yep.
3P. We love that. And I mean, this Worlds this year was crazy. I mean, KT making a run for it was insane.
Yeah.
So I've just been watching. I mean, I'm from Europe originally. I'm French, so I watch the LEC. I watch LCK because it's the LCK, and I watch basically all the internationals when I have time.
Yeah, so that's all the. You mentioned that you do watch it a lot, but are you an active player? Do you play it much, or is it more so just the love of the sport?
So I used to. The thing is, I don't play a lot of solo queue. I like climbing generally, but in League, it just takes a long time to climb, and I don't love investing that much time into it. I'm a pretty big TFT player, actually. I like climbing in TFT because it feels a lot more deterministic, right? You're kind of in control of a lot more of the game compared to a 5v5 game. But I play a lot of like just normal sometimes. I'll play a lot of ARAMs, just fun. Especially I love the new ARAM Mayhem mode. That one That
Oh,
one
it's
is
so good. Don't even get me started
I
on the new
love
era.
it. Just making absolutely random kills. The worst thing I've seen for now
Yeah.
is Tank Engine Tom Kench queuing you from across the map because he has
Oh
infinite
boy.
range because of his size, and it's hilarious.
Dude, I have so many things to say about Tank Engine. Oh, but I'm getting word though that the game is about to start. TSM versus TSC or quarterfinals game 1 for the UTLA Intramurals fall season. Oh my god, that's a mouthful. Is now underway.
Great
Ooh, I'm
logos
ready.
from both teams, I must say.
A summoner has disconnected.
Oh, and immediately into a
Oh.
pulse.
That's the caster curse, am I right?
Yeah.
Um
Shouldn't have said game was
but no,
starting.
yeah. But no, like we were saying, right? Tank Engine, please nerf or remove. I cannot. There,
5%
I
is
swear,
huge.
there is nobody that it is bad on, right? For those of you that are unaware, Tank Engine is a thing where if you get a takedown, you continue to grow in size and gain max HP, and it'll just snowball your game and go into places that you never saw coming. And you know, whether
And
you're picking it on a tank or like a mage or anything, it's just can spiral out of control very easily.
yeah, and it's meant to be balanced around the fact that you'll lose this. You lose half your stacks, I think, or 75% of your stacks on death.
Yeah,
The issue is most tanks will buy Warmogs and just be like, you know what?
exactly.
I'm just gonna go in, lose half my health, go out, and then I'll be just fine.
Yeah.
We're into game though.
All right, the game is finally starting. We do seem to have an opening bot lane for both of these teams. The Vayne Ornn huddling together in top. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that.
That's interesting because with the new lane swap detection, how soon does it start?
Yeah.
Is it 1:30?
Your chart looked bad.
I believe so. It should come with the first wave, and it'll only get dropped around 4 or 5 minutes. So
Right, so they can't stay there for long.
A summoner has disconnected.
Another
seems
pause.
like potentially the plan was to wait in that brush and then see if Renekton would try and position aggressively so that they could catch him off guard. Which, you know, you take some risks and you occasionally it'll work out. So the charm of this as well is that you know, the opposing team is that TSC, they just don't know that this was done, so they can continue to repeat it until eventually their plan gets foiled.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like we've seen that a lot, especially so example at Worlds recently. We've seen that a lot around bot lane. We've seen a lot of focus around playing tank tops, kind of letting the tops kind of noodle fight each other and just play grasp and just hit each other. And then they'd have like 4-man, 5-man in bot bush and just try and get a ward early to get their carry bot lanes ahead. So it's kind of the opposite, which is really interesting.
Yep, and I mean that's like really the big difference is that when you're looking at the big competitive stage, when you're you have all of this lane swapping going on, is that your tank tops, they need to be very efficient on very low economy because they'll often drop waves, they'll leave freezes, and they'll go and completely swap the sides of the maps that they're on at the whim of the ADC support duo. So that sort of, I know that League of Legends has, you know, historically been balanced around, you know, what you're playing, the game that you're playing is going to be very similar to the top level. With the introduction of like lane swaps and all of that, it's really, I don't like to use the term, but it's really metagamed in a way that you can't really get those direct comparisons anymore. If you're comparing, say, I'm playing top lane and my favorite top laner is Zeus, I can't really compare myself to them 1-to-1.
Oh yeah, and I think it's also really interesting to look at the stats and be like, oh wow, Sion is like basically 100% pick ban. It's winning so many games.
Yeah.
It must be OP. It's like, no, it's just really, really good at catching waves under tower.
Exactly. And also the Soul Engine stacks is, you know, you're just farming up free free max HP. You're getting so much value out of that mid late game. It's great all around.
Oh yeah, yeah, just free HP, and then like, come late game, you have a lot of CC, you have respectable damage. You can really hit those towers with all that HP and the demolish procs, so you can side lane effectively. So just a lot of tools you can use, really.
Yeah, plenty at your disposal. You know, Okay, I sort of drilled you a little bit earlier, asking about your experiences and all of that. And we're back in the game.
We're back. I'll have to leave that talk
Seems
for
like the
later.
technical difficulties, has been sorted out. And it looks like, the Vayne is going to take that recall, going to go back to the bot lane, and we're going to start off with a very traditional start.
It looks to me like Ornn is the one recalling, which would mean we have a Vayne top, right?
Oh, let's go 2 out of 2 predictions.
You were right. Great predictions. So Vayne top into the Renekton and Ornn center bot.
Yep.
This will not be a fun lane for Kaizen.
Yep. Renekton is going to be incredibly sad this game. This does open up some opportunities for the Ezreal Nico combo. You're not really able to really pressure and punish a Senna tank dual lane as hard, especially when you're playing a character that really wants to hit their item power spikes. But given enough time, I'm sure that the Ezreal will start with a significant advantage.
And the bush was warded. He did not see, and it is immediately a first blood for the Vayne. And this is an awful start to the game.
Yeah, and we're into
the Renekton player has officially rage quit.
Yeah, so all right, lots to break down there. Didn't expect to see that all. Like, what are your thoughts on what led us to that happening, that first blood?
I feel like Tyson didn't realize fast enough that the bush was warded. He walked in and kind of stayed there, took 2 autos, and then realized, oh, I'm getting hit. I need to go out. And by that time, it was way too far. He was way too far from tower to flash, and there's no way for him to just make it out at all.
Yeah, and that's a lovely thing about Vayne is you just have to concede as much farm as possible to make your lane go as smoothly as possible, and you really have to deal with the consequences of a semi-fed Vayne later, which is significantly nicer than having a very fed Vayne and a very underfed Renekton.
Yeah, and that's where we're heading right now, a very fed Vayne.
I wouldn't count him out just yet. One mistake in the early game isn't quite the doomer that it used to be, especially with your extra home guards, your TP cooldowns being what it is these days. It's not as bad as it could be. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's true, for sure. I'm actually surprised at how much Diana is doing well in this lane. Basically maxed health into Anivia was already half health, so I guess there must have been some good trading in mid, good hitting spells. And they both saw both of their pots.
It sounds like a bit of shenaniganery there. Maybe a jump scare play, maybe jumping out of a bush, or maybe even just jumping at them directly, because Anivia is quite strong being a ranged character mid with low cost spells, and she's able to, especially if she lands her stun, get really aggressive trades on you. But as soon as she misses that, she only really has 1 offensive spell, and it does almost half damage if you don't hit the stun. So with all those things considered, I'm not too surprised to see this position in the mid lane. It seems like we are having some technical difficulty. Okay, Caster's curse it. Caster cursed the tech pause away.
You have magic in your veins. Oh, the Anivia getting jumped on again. Flash. Oh, but the egg.
Wow.
Not gonna go to the egg
out this early is very good and a very strong indicator for the rest of how this is gonna go.
And no flash on the Anivia. Well, the Diana still has flash. That's gonna make Kai. That gives so much range for Kai to become so much more aggressive in this lane.
Yep. And we also now see the timer is hitting 3 minutes 45 seconds. If I recall, the lane swap timers did get adjusted for Worlds. I don't know what they're currently at.
So they were at 3:30 at Worlds, and then the patch right after Worlds, they got bumped to 4 minutes. So I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I think Senna can now like go top if she wants to, and the lane swaps I think are all.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a bit interesting seeing the Senna roaming on the top half of the map here. At first, I was under the impression that it might be to initiate a lane swap with the Ornn and the Vayne, but if Vayne is just walking back up to this lane.
It does appear so. I mean the lane swap has been working well, but not as well as you'd hope. The Renekton is actually equal in CS to the Ornn. So it's not working as well as you'd want it to, but the top lane has been frozen, which is going to make it really hard for this Renekton to get any farm anytime soon.
Yep, we do see, however, TSC are putting a lot of stocks on the top half of the map. They had the Nico hovering, they have the Mundo potentially looking to support. But
the Nico is here.
All things the Nico even jump scared me, hopping in the middle of that big fat wave and getting a good chunk out on the Senna even.
The minion counting shenanigans.
Yeah, try counting minions when you have 3 waves collapsing in on each other, just sitting there.
Yeah. And Nico with her passive like magic damage on attack is going to be really helpful to just kind of poke back against this Vayne Senna combo. But she seems to be backing again, so... Oh.
Wow, nice play from Kai. Going in on the low health Anivia, making sure to use that ult, and then escaping the tower all the same. Your flash was burned in the process, but now we do have an altercation in the top lane. Vayne gets dropped down to low HP. Senna is fighting for her life, using as much of the health bar as she can. Vayne gets the first kill up there in the top lane fight, traded back by the Renekton. Trundle shows up to snatch some lunch. And once the dust is settled, it's 4-1 for TSM.
Yeah, I feel quite bad because that fight seemed so close. Vayne was so low. One hit and then gets that ghost and flash to really get all the movement, all the spacing she needs, and get that last auto in, and then just and from there the fight is basically won. The Renekton is being zoned out, and the Trundle comes in and finishes him off. And here in the bot lane, the Ornn is getting bullied by the Ezreal, as is expected.
Yep, and the Anivia, the snowball train just keeps going, and she's now, after having come back from her death, back on low HP and forced to recall. The Diana can do this all day. Nico with another tower dive, finds the Ornn, and we're going to get a lot of extra gold and extra farm onto this Ezreal. It's going to be really a menace to be reckoned with this game. Yeah.
This might be a fight of the ADCs here. Both ADCs getting a lot of gold through this lane swap, right? I think the main issue here is they're going to be the Renekton is a lot less useful than the Ornn with low resources, right? If he tries to go in team fights, he's going to get one shot. He's not going to be able to get any healing down. While the Renekton can always kind of tank and just has his ult to just give great CC at long range.
Yep, and it's also a matter of, these AD carries themselves being very different in the way that they want to play in these fights, right? As Ezreal really excels at poking and not really hard committing to anything until he absolutely is, willing to. Meanwhile, Vayne has 2 big chunky tanks sort of running at her, and she's going to be able to really dish out a lot of damage, get a ton of that lifesteal off of the Bork that she's no doubt buying soon. And she's really in a situation she wants to be in, and also has an excellent enchanter slash healer support there, just ready to back her up.
Yeah, the Senna
nice
definitely
engage here from the Vayne. Mundo just walks up and claims what's his, really, and the Diana is going in on the counter engage. Nico drops down to low HP, gets finished off, and after Mundo's popped his heal, he's gonna be forced to back off.
Yeah, that first level Mundo, not the most insane healing, but still enough to keep him topped up. But when he gets to level 16 and he pops that, if he pops it when he's low on HP, like around 20% health, he gains so much HP, so much healing. But then on the other side, there's a Vayne who's just gonna melt through him either way, which is why the pick is slightly confusing, right, in this comp, and why the Vayne has so much value here.
Yep. Yeah, and also a little known fact actually is that Mundo's ult's healing per second actually scales with the amount of enemies that are nearby. So he is going to, be really strong in those later on team fights. But I mean, like you said, it's a Fed Vayne versus a Mundo is going to be a tough challenge for the Mundo to overcome. But getting that kill there and securing the shutdown gold is very advantageous for them.
Oh yes, for sure. That's really what they needed to kind of get this game like much closer in the grasp. The gold lead is still is now a lot smaller, 1.5k gold. Really, it's not nothing, but it's completely manageable, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, gold leads at this stage of the game, we're pre-10 minutes currently. It's not really the end of the world, but seeing where a lot of that gold is allocated is going to be a bit of a cause for concern. Seeing the Diana be very strong, seeing the Vayne also be very very fed and high on money is certainly a look for TSM. Yeah, and also off camera, we did happen.
Yeah, we saw the Senna get the Senna get 2v2 killed in the bot lane. So as soon as the bot laners kind of get back together, it does not go well for the Senna, and the root hits. Oof, that was close.
Yep, nice roots. Allows the Ezreal a really easy time to hit his spells, especially as he's just sitting barely outside of tower range, and is able to force the Vayne into a early recall. So now that the Ezreal has free reign, he's going to be able to collect even more platings. He got 3 platings in the bot side, and now has open season on the tower up top.
Yeah. Now that the Anivia's past level 6, she can really just ult the wave and just have some extremely high damage and just push really fast as well.
Yep, Diana got stuck in a really unfortunate situation there. She went on for a quick trade with the Anivia and then was body blocked by the wall into a stun. Really forced her to flash out of that spot. But she is still 40 CS ahead of her opponent, and even though she's lost some resources, she's still going to be able to bounce back.
Yeah, the Anivia right now is scaling.
Yep. Drake now is being claimed by TSC. They do secure the dragon. That's going to be their second one so far this game. Senna burns the flash and the ultimates, but Diana gets a 3-man pull, secures the kill onto 1, gets a second. And that's your bot lane dead and gone. Anivia at 1 HP, running away for her life. She does still have the egg in the back pocket. Flash over the Anivia Q. And now Vayne and Trundle are going to be working together here to collect their prize. Money goes exactly where it needs to go, onto the Vayne. And we cut away.
Yeah, that fight, I mean, they get the Drake, but they lose so much. 4-0 is not what you want to be getting. 4-0 for a Drake is just not worth it at all. I mean, more than 2 kills for a Drake, I'd say, is really where you start saying it's not worth it. And the real issue is that the gold's on the right characters, right? The Vayne and Diana both carries. The Assassin and the tank killer, right? They have both types of damage that they're going to need.
Yep, very well done by the Renekton here, able to dodge the Ornn ult, but a root from Senna does connect. Senna's level 6, so he's going to be very squishy. A flash stun does see her get taken down. Ornn is now running for the hills, and Renekton has come out advantageous on this trade. Now Nico is looking for another play in the bot side, as the Vayne does get tagged by the root. Nice Q from Israel as well. Now she's low HP, looking at a pretty sticky situation.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give up this bot tier 1, it seems, or at least, fully giving it up. The Vayne is backing, so this seems like probably going to be first blood tower to TSC.
Yeah, there is very little that's going to be able to get done, and especially if the Senna does not back off soon, she might see herself fall alongside her prized Tower of Stone. Now, first tower goes over to TSC, and they're looking pretty happy with the way that feats are progressing so far. They have 2 objectives secured. They have the first tower, so all they need to do is either play for the next dragon / grubs, or go or sorry, no, that's the only objective still up, as it's a 16 kill game so far.
Yes, this has been a very bloody game so far. In 14 minutes, 16 kills. A lot of fighting. a lot of lane kills as well.
Yeah. Now I did. Okay, let me start over here. The dragon fight did end poorly for TSC. TSM did manage to secure a lot of gold and presence on the map by taking down by going 4-for-0 in that fight. But I do still want to point out here that TSC, by getting that dragon, have now secured themselves a little bit more scaling time. Right? It's conditional because there is a chance that doesn't matter, and TSM are going to be able to overcome them without the help of a Dragon Soul. But even if the tides of this game start to shift, that's an extra 5 to 10 minutes that you've bought yourself before you have to start thinking about contesting the Dragon Soul, or you have to start contesting Zelda.
Yeah, and as we were talking about during draft, right? I think TSC's composition really likes getting these drakes because they're gonna, if they can set up around these objectives, the Anivia and Ezreal can really just make it really hard for TSM to walk into.
Yep, Trundle walks into potentially his own prison, seeing the Renekton there in the jungle bush, gets taken down by the Diana, and now TSM are looking at the Rift Herald here.
Yeah, this Diana is about to hit 2 items, I think, when she backs, and Anivia doesn't even have her Rod of Ages to start scaling yet, and maybe another kill under tower. No, Mundo has the ult though.
Yep, 1-0 and 5, 6-0 and 1, 4-1 and 3. Those are scorelines you don't want to be running into right now, and they're about to claim Feats of War as well. The TSM definitely sitting up on a high perch, looking pretty. And they are looking to further advance their lead. The Trundle does get picked up by the Nico ults, but Nico herself does fall shortly after. Does buy enough time, though, for the Ezreal to escape.
Yeah, once again, I mean, that's just another objective and more gold to TSM, right? They're happy to take all this gold. I mean, all the scaling in the world's nice, but if you get overrun by a team that just has so much more gold in their wallets, the scaling isn't enough.
Yep, and you know, all eyes are on the shutdowns right now. This is going to be the premier opportunity for TSC to really bounce back into this game, and with the Infernal Drake up, an Infernal Dragon is very, very strong. Or sorry, Infernal Soul is very strong, and we see Renekton getting engaged on point blank. Diana's not being coy about it at all. Pops the ultimate, is forced to flash out herself, and is looking back for a quick re-engage. Renekton does fall, although he was looking pretty stable there for a moment.
I mean, you've got to remember that this Diana has 2 full items and up like tier 3 boots, so he's very strong.
Yep, Drake does get taken down quickly by TSM, but TSC are still opting into an engage here. Ezreal gets taken down, Mundo shortly after, and TSM are looking to take one more home. Unfortunately, the root does stop them.
Yeah, this is looking harder and harder to play for TSC, right? They don't get that Drake, but they do still decide to fight it. As we said, they have more time to scale, but they decide to fight, and the fight goes wrong, and that only pushes them further down in terms of gold. And the amount of gold they've had hasn't really gone up. They've gone up by 2k, while TSM is farming more and more and more gold. They're having this really hard time getting on the map. And Orange just got solo killed by the Anivia.
That's a really nice pick there by Electro Speeder. You know, alleviates some of that pressure, and really well, now that the death timers are getting so long, Orin has to sit in base for 30 seconds, think about what happened there, and hopefully not repeat it again. But still, this doesn't really change the overall outcome that we're looking at so far. TSM now starting to stack up on those dragons. They do have the 3 grubs. They do have the Rift Herald that they did use to get the 2 towers in the mid lane. I wonder what they're going to set their eyes on next.
I wonder as well, there's not many objectives left. They might just wait for the next dragon and just keep pushing these waves in. The Ornn definitely wants to make... Oh, engaged by the...
Yeah, but the Renekton does walk up on the Diana trying to stop the recall, but the ward in itself might have been bait because he does get taken down shortly after, right? The Mundo is here to collect the wave, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to do much more than that. He's level 11, staring at a level 14 Diana with upgraded Sork shoes. Yeah, she's a little scary.
Yeah, I don't think that Renekton was allowed to go for that back interrupt. You're so far from your tower in that third bush, and you're just not safe at all against the Diana, who has a lot of movement ability, right? You think you can eat out, but Diana has QE and will have 2 dashes to follow your 2 dashes that are even longer range. So I just
Yeah.
don't think you're allowed to go for that play there.
Yep, and as the gold lead widens, TSC are trying to do all they can to really, stop that bleeding. Diana can't rack up a kill bounty that's higher than 700, so the more fed she gets, the more things are just going to get harder and harder to overturn. Right, mid tower does fall down. TSC are able to claim it, and that's a nice healthy gold injection for the rest of the team.
Yes, for sure. This Ezreal isn't far behind. He's actually quite strong, I'd say. But the issue is that the Vayne is very far ahead, right? The characters that are really far behind, I'd say, for TSC is mostly the Renekton. The Renekton has been kind of being bullied on side lane, right?
Yep. Yeah, so, at this stage of the game, the Renekton's likely going to be relegated down to, a wave clear duty, catching those waves and making sure that nothing goes wrong. The Otacon did spawn, and that's going to summon the Avengers down bot lane. Flash forced out of Nivea is a very strong position to be in. Nico walking up camouflage as Ezreal, and then lands a nice stun there from Nivea as well. Diana goes in and engages deep. The ult finds 3, is able to take down 1 so far. Nico down for 1 HP, might as well be dead. Now the Mundo is running for the safety of the tower, gets taken down. Renekton is nowhere left to go. And that is a clean 3-0 fight from TSM.
I mean, we were questioning the Diana pick, but these engages have been beautiful and snappy and basically always 3-man ults, and that's just incredible value from this Diana, who's just, I mean, we were questioning the lack of engage from the Senna, and we said the Ornn was going to rectify that, but the Diana's just engaging all on her own, and it's working.
Yeah, you got to put a lot of confidence sometimes in your mid laner, especially when they call it, give me my Diana, I'm really good at Diana. And when you decide to trust that as a team and you get that play coming out of it, it's really gratifying. And, as TSM, they further stretch ahead. They've claimed the Otacon. Now they're resetting, getting ready for, drag fight coming up in about 1.5 minutes or so. Things are starting to get out of control.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues we're seeing this game is that Nico is not getting a lot of value because she's getting 1 pop every time, right? The Diana just can go on the Nico and does so much damage. Now with the completed Rabadons and the upgraded Sword Shoes, so much magic penetration, so much AP, the Nico doesn't have a lot of gold to buy items, right? So after her Rocket Belt, she's buying Zhonya's, and after that, that's her full build, and she's not going to have any magic resistance.
Yep, TSM are able to claim this Drake under Knight's cover, and now they're looking pretty spicy. Sitting here with 2 Infernal Drakes, getting them a really nice increase on AD and AP, and the Renekton is walking up very aggressively here, potentially calling in for a dive on the top side. The Mundo does get taken down to 1 HP, almost to 0. Meanwhile, TSC, they're looking for ways to retaliate.
Yeah, they're trying to. They're trying to find things on the map, right? Trying to find plays. They have a very good vision line topside. They have some deep wars in the enemy jungle and good vision around Baron, so they'll be ready for that spawns.
Yep, unfortunately, Anivia did walk up a little bit too far for comfort. Gets caught between the 2 big guys, your Trundle and your Ornn. And this is going to really, put a lot more pressure on that bot lane. Squeezing TSC ever so thin, right? Making sure that they have to be everywhere all at once. Maybe even sending the Nico on her own little adventures. It really makes it difficult to fight for a lot of those neutrals, right? We're seeing that the red buff is being taken now, and there's not really much they can do in response.
Yeah, and I think what we see from that bot play is also the danger of not having your mid tier 1 up, right? Because you're all the way up to mid tier 2 has been taken, so you're not allowed to walk up far in bot wave or top wave because they can rotate through the entire map, through your entire jungle. And as a jungle player myself, I can tell you that's awful as a jungler because they can be anywhere in your jungle and you're not allowed to go there, but you have to farm to keep ahead. So you're just under constant threat, right? And the side lanes as well.
Yep. Yeah, and we are going to be seeing the Baron come into play in a minute here. So this is going to be a very strong position for TSM to take advantage of. Even if they don't necessarily complete it, they're still going to be able to get a lot of pressure just going off the map, invisible, and just the amount of aura that radiates in TSC. If they let the opposing team get this Baron, even a Nivea won't be enough wave clear to deal with, the assault, the barrage is about to come down onto your base.
Especially not this Nivea. This Nivea isn't level, like, if she was level 16, when that row is going to proc, she'll get level 15, soon to be level 16. But I think the most important part here is that this Baron is extremely dangerous, especially because TSC don't have any vision on it. So they, as soon as TSM are out of vision, they have to assume they're forcing.
Yep. Now they do get a spot here. They see that there are 3 members from TSM around the side of the map, so they're calling in all of their teammates. Mundo is forced to play it safe, scouting as much as he can, using his own body for vision. Now they do spot that all 5 members of TSM are here. They're present and they're ready for that fight. It's a very awkward position to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, and now we're starting to see also TSM side of the scaling, right? Ornn items are starting to come in. Ornn has upgraded items, so does Trundle. I'm surprised he didn't upgrade Diana's item actually first, but he might not have been in range to do it at a good time. And that's just going to keep getting better and better, right? Each of these items is 1,000 gold worth of stats. So the gold lead's now basically 10,000.
Yep. And 10,000 is not very easy to burger flip. You've got to have a lot of team fights go very wrong in order to start coming back from that one. Now, the dragon is still a ways out. It's still 3 minutes off, so there's not going to be any opportunity here to force any trades, which is ideally what TSC would like to do as they're trying to continue on their scaling journey. But they are still, in desperate search of an answer, just a way out of this predicament.
Yeah, if all 4 dragons had been by the same team and they would have been a soul, I think their saving grace could have been an Elder, right? But because both Drakes are split among both teams, the Elder is so far away, it might be a pipe dream at this point. The issue isn't that it's a pipe dream, but it's in 10-15 minutes, right? So you'd have to hold on without it for a very long time.
Yeah, there's no guarantees really, especially in state of the game now, that there is going to be another 10-15 minutes like you put it. But as the Baron dance seems to conclude, these teams, TSM is going to recall, scatter themselves out amongst the wind, and start taking up some more of those resources that have come back up across the map. Right, the bot waves have just been fighting each other. Nobody's been there to collect them. The bot side jungles are coming back up. The dragon is available. A pause has happened, and it looks like in this case it's going to be the Mundo needs to reconnect.
Yep. Well, we saw so the dragon has just spawned. Ezreal ult is on cooldown because it was just used to check Baron. So that's a tool that they can use to get the vision when they don't have it without walking up too close. But that's 1 less ult for the next fight.
Yeah.
And now TSM is
Yep, and another unfortunate thing here for TSC is that they don't necessarily have the raw DPS required to force a Baron here. So while TSM are doing a good job, they're eliminating their variables. They're going to go hit the dragon first. If a fight is about to break up, which it seems like it will, they are going to have the upper hand here, and then afterwards, they're going to be able to either just march on the base, or they can go and start dealing with that Baron afterwards.
I don't know. I don't love what TSC is doing here. They're contesting, but they're only 3v4. Their Nivea is coming in now.
Yep, the Ornn ult does come out as an engage. A TP from the Diana coming in and join the fight. Trundle does walk all the way up. Senna ult rips through the team. Now, even though nobody has fallen yet, TSC have been forced so far back, TSM were just able to finish the dragon for free.
Yeah, with that Bane, they do so much damage to objectives, right? Both Nasher and Dragons will go down so quickly. So TSC, if they're not on the objectives first, they're in a rough spot. And the egg here will save the Anivia, I think.
Yep, now it is a cheeky engage here from TSC. The Mundo gets dropped down to extremely low HP. Still hasn't gotten that level 16 ultimate, not quite yet. The Anivia, after the egg, does manage to make it away, but the Ezreal's not long for this world, as the Flash Diana is nothing that you can escape from.
It's incredibly difficult to react to that, right? We're not. This is not the world stage. We're not reacting to Flash Nico ults. And now basically a free Baron for TSM. I don't think TSC can contest this in any way.
Yep, the Baron is claimed with, little to no contest. The gold lead has spread open to 11k, closer to 12 to 13, as you mentioned earlier. And we have some very, very heavy stacking here. I'm actually quite interested in how many souls the Senna has at this stage of the game, potentially. If I had to throw out a number, probably 100, 104. That's pretty nicely stacked Senna.
That's pretty good. I'm not very well versed in the Senna stacks because they keep changing with lots of patches, so I kind of forget how many numbers, and it's very different on AD and support Senna as well.
Yeah, I think from what I last remember is you're looking at about 3 to 4 stacks a minute. It's a pretty good game. 5 if you're, a Worlds tier player. The Ornn does get forced to flash out here. He's not going to have much support from the rest of his team, but there is a lot of pressure now coming out from the mid lane. Mundo is just being, doing Mundo things, being a big sack of flesh, while Vayne and Senna are pushing things along as much as possible.
Yeah. Diana has now completed her Zhonya, so she can now engage, dish out ridiculous amounts of damage, and then be completely safe as well, which is going to make this even harder for TSC to fight, right? Who do you go on now? Your main target is probably the Vayne, right?
Yeah. Main target's probably going to be the Vayne. Even the Senna's a good to decent option here, but he just has so many vectors of attack. He has so many damage dealers on TSM that there's not going to be really a chance for you to eliminate all of them. The Mundo does get dropped down to low HP. Aggressive Diana ult gets stunned, gets knocked up, and knocked out of the battle as Ezreal shuts her down. It's going to be a route that spreads out onto Anivia, but she's still full of HP and not too afraid, not quite yet. The cannon minion does put up a little bit of a fight itself, but that's sort of the small wins that you need here for TSC to stay in this game. A root does come out on the Anivia, though. She got a little bit too overconfident, gonna get caught out, and there's your major source of wave clear gone. TSM are now back in this siege. They're going to be able to continue pushing in with these Baron minions. Mid inhibitor is about to fall. But we do have a Mundo on the flank. Renekton dashes in, lands the stun, but Vayne does hit the condemn. Mundo is trying to do as much as possible, but Trundle shuts him down. The Vayne as well, dishing out damage almost uncontested, and the Ornn ult is going to knock up Nico. Clone be gone, but unfortunately there's no secured kill here.
I don't think it matters, though. I think the game is completely over. I think TSC knew that they didn't have the wave clear to clear those waves, and they had to engage, and it was a last-ditch effort, but TSM take the game.
And in pretty convincing fashion there. Off of what was a pretty neutral overall early game, where you saw TSM were playing very aggressively, TSC were sort of trading them back in terms of objectives. It was looking pretty convincing that potentially the feats of war could potentially even go to TSC, and then a series of fights and very big leads did eventually end up with TSM sort of stretching it out and claiming the ultimate victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big point for me for TSM was mid lane, right? They managed to get that lead really early on, and that through that managed to snowball the rest of the game. And I think that's probably what we're going to have a big focus on in draft next game.
Yep. Now, seeing the way that things developed, right? Sorry. So the way that things developed, I'm interested in seeing what sort of approach that both of these teams are going to take with their second game drafts, and ultimately the execution of the second game. Maybe we're going to see some more shenaniganery, maybe some lane swaps, all of that to match the other team's freak. But for now, we're going to be sending you all on a 3-minute break while we recuperate on our end, and then we're going to meet you guys again for the draft soon. All right, thank you.
See you.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back from your state mandated break. We're back here with game number 2 of what's turned out to be a pretty exhilarating series so far. Definitely did not see that lane swap coming. Putting your Vayne up top and your Ornn Senna in the bot lane is definitely an interesting maneuver. And, now seeing that, TSM are capable of really pulling out those pocket picks, I'm interested in how do you think that's going to really form this pick and ban on game 2?
Well, I think TSC was really focusing on trying to ban out. I think both teams are trying to focusing on banning out champs that the other team was very comfortable in, right? So they went through OPGG, looked at what people were playing in solo queue, and there was quite a big focus on jungle. And Echo mid was banned last time by TSC, so that's staying. So it seems like they're trying to really push away comfort picks, right? Which I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it really does. But, on the same side, I wonder if that's also, if we're going to see any reform or any change based off of what happened last time. Because clearly the answers weren't quite really there for the kind of style that TSM wants to play. And, I'm interested in seeing, does TSC think they have the solution this time, now that they know what's coming, or if they're going to try and deal with it head on?
They are banning the ban, so there is an adaptation in ban.
Okay.
TSM do keep all of the same bans, right? So 2 support and Hecarim jungle. And we're going for a first pick Kai'Sa for TSC, so focus on the bot lane again.
Yeah, first pick Kai'Sa is pretty spicy. You've got a lot of potential here. She does build a lot of hybrid these days. You got a lot of AD, you got a lot of magic damage and attack speed in there as well. So she's a really strong all-arounder. TSM are just opting into the exact same thing that they did last time. They're whipping out the Senna, they're whipping out the Trundle, and how are TSC going to respond differently this time?
I mean, this might be interesting because they might not have known that the Trundle was going jungle. If they thought the Trundle was going top, they might have. This might impact how they draft because now they know that there's an incredibly high likelihood that the Trundle's going back in jungle, the Senna's going back in support. So they basically know the flexes before the picks that are normally going to show it. So they're picking a Nautilus here, which goes really well with Kai'Sa, right? Likes that big beefy engage, gives her that passive stack so she can ult. And I wonder what they're going to pick next. I think a jungler, I'd say, to go into the Trundle.
Yeah. A jungler does seem like a really good idea here. Talon is an interesting pick. If we're looking at history and we're trying to get context from our previous matches, then yes, Trundle or Talon does seem like a pretty good pick. Last game there were a lot of squishy characters. There's not really too many big tanks that'll really shut them down. But as a third pick on blue side, Talon is a little bit more questionable. I would say. I'm not a huge fan.
I mean, I'm surprised because I have not seen Talon in the whole time I've played League. Like, I've played League for 3 years and watched it for 3 years. I just never see Talon. Like, all I see are like clips of the old Talon Yumi days, and that seemed OP. But that's very different now.
Yeah.
And TSM still with the Syndra, which is still squishy. Yeah, which is interesting.
There's been a bit of a resurgence with the Talon recently, but that's mostly been because Riot's kind of been, messing around with things and putting Talon more in a jungle position. And as a jungler, you have the ability to really skip that early level 1 and level 2 pains, and especially with your unlimited no cooldown jumping over walls, this is going to be really hard to catch. A lot of maneuverability, and it's all assets that a really good jungler wants. If we're looking into the bans here, TSM have banned out Shen and Ornn. No Ornn to be picked for them this time, and so they're opting into the Nai instead. TSC, they've banned out Neela, looking to sort of shut down some more of those, strong Senna picks. As for the last ban, though, still open.
I assume another AD carry, right? They're probably going to try and pinch the pool. Aphelios, which they banned last game as well. So, an immediate Malphite pick into the Talon, that's going to be incredibly difficult to kill.
Yep, I really like the Malphite so far. There is still opportunity for TSC here to sort of lean a different direction with their draft, not give Malphite that really, really strong, our AD team to play into. But the draft will just really speak the rest for us as we see a Zoe get picked up here for the mid lane. Really explosive pick she is.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, we saw her at Worlds a little. We saw Zoe Ziggs at Worlds a lot, which was disgusting. Just keep the enemy at range, poke
Yep.
them, poke them, poke them. And a Cho'Gath fill out the front line here. Good AP matchup into the Malphite.
Yeah, I quite like the Cho'Gath actually. If he was picked earlier on in the draft, I would go on about how Cho'Gath is a flex and can be played mid and top and all of that. But seeing this, it's pretty clear that he's going to go top. He's going to build some tank stats, and it's going to try to be as much of a menace as possible. They did leave the vein open again, though. So another really big point against TSC is leaving the best anti-tank ADC out there to be picked on R5. Again, it also just opens up opportunities for them to do the lane swap stuff again.
Yeah, just the same thing again. I think honestly, it's worse. Renekton has better tools to work into Vayne, right? That E gives you a lot of mobility. You can heal up with your Q. Your W is a stun. Cho'Gath, if you don't land your Q against this Vayne, you die. Like your W silence isn't gonna do much. She's just gonna hit you through it. And if she plays well, she's gonna zone you away from hitting your autos and your E. So you just have so little counterplay. The good news is you have good sustain with your passive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these two team compositions again, we're looking at quite a lot of mid to late game prowess. TSC are definitely going to be engaging more around that mid early game. You see the Zoe, you see the Talon, really trying to stop TSM's momentum and really put them in their place. But now that we have both of our teams locked in and we're heading into the game, we're going to be heading over to another quick break, and we'll come back at you guys when the lobby's ready. Yep. Yep, you can just hit it now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the broadcast. We are in the match, and TSM, TSC, they both brought their best, big guns out to play. TSC did make some pretty large changes to their draft structure this time around. TSM are keeping it simple. They're running back with what worked so well for them last time, with a little bit of improvisation on the mix.
And I love this by both teams. Both teams saw the lane swap the first game, and they're both like, this is not going to happen again. They're both going to fight for this middle push.
Oh my god, it's a skirmish 5-on-5 in the top lane. Nautilus gets dropped down to low HP. The hook lands in the bubble as well. Zoe secures the first blood. TSC are eating good. Flash forced out from the Senna, forced out by the Trundle as well. Nautilus drops down to low HP, but the Zoe is not willing to budge. Wow, what
that Cho'Gath Q was incredible. I think it hit 4 people in that bush. That Cho'Gath Q covers basically the entire bush, so you just get massive knockouts if you're not careful. Everyone backs off. You just
saw both of those teams running at each other in the top lane. They reached the first brush, they both stopped, and then they both trudged forwards. And I'm sure the moment that they saw each other, it was already too late and all hell broke loose. First blood coming out onto your Zoe mid lane is a pretty nice outcome here for TSC. Nice little hyper acceleration.
Oh, definitely. She's gonna be able to hit those spells, and those spells do a lot of damage, right? That sleep amplifies the damage of her spell even more. So I think that lead on is going to be really useful, especially into another mage mid, right? That can really really poke the other person out of lane.
And well, what do we have here? Another Vayne top swap. And TSC are going to have to be forced into taking this engagement head on. Nice flash forwards and the ignite as well, but the Sen is not going to fall. Speeder takes it instead, and Nautilus is going to be sent back to the respawn room.
I think the Nautilus canceled an auto there. It looks like he flashed and tried to do something with the ignite. I think he tried to auto because he started Q, so it couldn't be his E, and he might have had Q on cooldown, or might have just canceled the auto, and that was so close. That would have made this bot lane just get such a good lead early on.
Yep. Now, one thing to note is that historically TSC, they've been, they've thrived, they've been live or die through their bot lane. So seeing them in a position like this where they have to deal with those swaps, where they're not able to, play 80 carry on 80 carry and rely on that, mechanical outplay potential, they've really struggle to try and find their footing here. Kai'Sa is admittedly a better pick here to be looking at rather than Ezreal, where Ezreal has the safety element to him. Kai'Sa just has a lot more of that raw power as a trade for that loss in agency.
And a solo kill in the mid lane.
Spicy engage. Both of those mid laners were flip deep, and I wasn't sure who was quite hitting who for a moment.
That's gonna help the Zoe accelerate even more. She's gonna back with 2 kills worth of gold, and that's just gonna accelerate her even more. Get her to those item spikes where she can really try and one shot all the squishy characters in TSM's team comp.
Yep, and it looks like TSC's top laner has also learned their lesson from last match. There's no early blood kill or early blood death to the Vayne. Gonna be playing it safe. Even has, is down on CS as you should be, but not that far. It's just a 10 CS gap right now. Things are looking good. Things are looking positive here so far. The Trundle and the Senna have roamed up to the top lane. It is now post lane swap timer, so anything is possible. It's going to be actually a 4-man match up here top lane, led by the Kai'Sa. And
bit of a repeat of the early game here. Everyone just ran top, and it seems like both bot lanes are gonna go back to normal lanes, except they're gonna be top.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, as I was gonna say, admittedly, I don't think this was as bad as the first game, because Kai'Sa has a much better matchup into like a tank like Malphite, because her mixed damage with the AD and the AP makes her a lot harder to like itemize against, right? Ezreal, you can just build a lot of armor.
Yep.
Whereas Kai'Sa, if you build a lot of armor, will still deal a lot of AP damage.
Yep. Exactly. And We do have an engage here up in the top lane. Nautilus looking in deep against the Senna. Vayne going to get condemned into a wall and then taken out shortly after. Then the Kai'Sa's flash is forced out as well. Big wave crashing in here, but it doesn't seem like TSM are really going to be able to take advantage of that.
Ooh, and Kai is getting zoned from the wave here. After such a dominant performance in game 1, it's kind of reversed.
Yep. I mean, one thing to also note is that for TSC, the support and the mid lane did swap roles. So this is a fresh matchup, not like one that we've seen before. Big sleep comes out on the Syndra, and I wasn't really expecting that to kill, but with the Electrocute, it was just enough to put the Syndra into a watery grave yet again.
This is the part of the league that you don't see in those high stakes world match. People are just changing roles. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go mid lane today. We'll make it work. You and Nautilus. And it's working. Admittedly, it's working incredibly well. 3-0-0 at 6 minutes into the game. That's insane acceleration.
Yep, and is making good use of this, right? Has a lost chapter already, another amp tome, boots on top of that because she probably wants to roam / be more forgiving on those recall timers. The Kai'Sa, it does get engaged on a nice Trundle pillar there to stop her from running away in a straight line. The Nautilus gets dropped down to low HPs and it takes one too many tower shots, but the Talon ultimately does go ahead and get the dragon. So TSC overall still pretty positive on this trade.
Yeah, I think they'll be very happy with this map position. I think the gold is on who they want the gold to be. I think this Zoe getting the gold is basically the best situation. The Nautilus here is maybe okay. He seems to be fine. I thought he would be in a bit of danger to that tower.
Yep. Now the Malphite does catch himself in a bit of a hard place. Uses the ultimate to use his flash as well and is barely able to escape the TSC gank. That's pretty good. But now that we look at the overall farm, go ahead. Sorry.
Importantly, Talon used flash and ult there and failed to kill, so that's gonna lower his kill potential for the next minute and a half, maybe.
Yeah, significantly, especially since a lot of the members on TSM, they do have their own source. Forms of self-peel, not having a flash, not having the ults, you only relying on just one gap closer.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, as we set our eyes on the overall farm counts for both of these teams as well, the Cho'Gath is actually very well fed for, this kind of situation that he's had to go through. Going in that Vayne lane is still, equal to / slightly behind his own lane opponent, the Malphite.
Yeah, and TSC are gonna get grubs this game, which is going to be very, very nice. That Zoe's gonna be able to convert all that lane pressure into some plate gold, and with that lost chapter she has, she can just throw spells. We saw it in mid lane, just throwing those bubbles, throwing them and throwing them, and she just basically has infinite mana.
Yep. Now, another thing to point out here as well is, TSC are sort of having an objective sweep, as they also do claim the Void Grubs, giving themselves a pretty nice spot on the overall Feats of War progress. Talon almost gets caught out here, but is able to escape over the wall, as Talons do. And now the Trundle is instead on the back foot as the mid laner rotates over first.
I wonder how much Talon is going to be able to do this game if he's not more accelerated in this, though. I'm scared that the Talon is going to try and get into a team fight, try and maybe find a flank, and it's going to get Malphite ulted, Syndra ulted, and get very quickly popped. I mean, that Syndra ult being point and click and dealing so much damage with an execute on top of it. I'm very scared that this Talon is going to have a very hard time playing the game in team fights.
Yeah, but also in contrast to that, right, Talon has a lot of very solid targets that he can go on. The Syndra, the Son of the Vayne. In the hyper late game, sure, they're able to build some defensive stats, but, for now and for when it matters the most, they're going to be very squishy and very susceptible to his high damage. Now, there is going to be a lot of... Sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
Okay. I did want to point out, though, that, a lot of burst is nice, but there is still a lot of pressure on this Kai'Sa, and she is going to have to farm up very well if TSC want to end up winning the overall fights over in the late game.
Yeah, she is. Oh, and another solo kill here. The little Braum emote flash. Very, very low. Flash and Ignite used. I mean, the Zoe, of course, has extra summoner spells, but... And we see Talon going for a repeat gank in the bot lane as well.
Yep, just deprive TSM of as much of that pressure as possible. And really, you know, seize it for yourself. Fennel goes in, flashes forward. The Nautilus gets down to low HP, is taken down ultimately, but the Talon ult does end up netting them one kill. The Vayne tumbles in deep, but it's not going to be able to find the kill. And the Kaisa gets two. Okay, TSC, you're looking a lot better this game, admittedly.
Yeah, it seems the role swap has really worked out in their favor. I mean, what was, I'd say, the lane that had the hardest time mid has completely reversed, right? We went from TSM completely rolling TSC to now this is TSC having, I'd say, an even greater lead at 11 minutes, 4 kills.
Yep.
I mean, it's incredible, and we're in similar spots, right? The AD carries ahead, the top laner is at a similar goal level, and the jungler is also ahead.
Yep.
So I think they're in a great spot here.
For sure. And a nice hook here onto the Senna. Is going to get caught out near the blue buff. Unfortunately, not going to be too much follow-up for that just yet. The Trundle is deciding this is the fight where we make things happen. Nice route as well lands into the Nautilus, and TSM, they're deciding, do we engage harder, do we not? And they're playing chicken with their opponents. Ultimately, the TP does come out from the Malphite, but there's not going to be too much of a fight to lead off of that.
TSC seems to be giving this Drake. They already have one, and they seem fine with taking this time to get some of their tempo back, kind of go back by items. Nautilus getting kind of chunked out, trying to find a pick on the Senna. Makes it a little bit harder to fight that as well. And maybe Upa can try and hit that tower for some plates here.
Yep, the Cho'Gath on the top lane there, TSC has secured a couple plates, you know, making sure to get as much damage there as possible. Forced out the TP from Kai to match them, and, you know, now that things are a little more evened up, things are cooling down. You know, you've got yourself in a... You really need to think carefully about what your next steps are for both of these teams. The Malphite, again, gets caught in a position where he has to ult defensively, and the flash is forced out from Vayne thanks to the undertow current.
Yes. See, this is the question what you have to put into perspective, whether you want to play a character that you're very good at, you have a lot of comfort in, or something that's possibly better in draft, right? So, like, for example, pause. So the Syndra, for example, was picked after the talent pick, and I was really surprised because you could have picked other mid laners, like for example, a Galio could kind of provide that AP damage while being a lot tankier, a lot harder to kill by the Talon. And the Taylor the same for the Vayne. Well, the Vayne has a lot of mobility, so that's less true for her. But the Syndra, I feel like, is a great target for the Talon, and I was quite surprised in the draft.
Yeah, didn't really take too much advantage of that red side positioning where you see an early assassin pick and then you sort of still play into it anyways. It does look like here the Malphite does get taken down in the mid lane. It's a bit of an interesting itemization choice from the Malphite. I guess he was playing into the Kaisa early game, so MR is not a bad option, but to forsake armor entirely on that character is a little bit difficult, especially just for purposes of farming and all that.
Yeah, and I mean both solo laners, both the Cho'Gath and the Zoe are AP damage, so I do think he needs that MR. I mean, the issue is that the Zoe is so far ahead that even with that MR, he still gets poked out really hard and kind of can't really hold the lane either. So they're gonna have to find a way to kind of hold that lane.
Yep. Nice route comes out to stop both of TSC's members, but ultimately the Trundle does fall. Talon makes it out with just 1 HP, and now the fight is being diffused. A nice bubble onto the Malphite, gonna do a big chunk of damage to him. And this man can catch no breaks. Malphite has neither the wave clear necessary or really the damage to contest back or the range to do it. So just sort of forced to tank a lot of this abuse head on.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like TSM need to try and focus on getting this Kaisa behind, because if this Kaisa is far enough behind, this Malphite could build a lot of magic resist and be very safe, I'd say. The Talon could try and kill the Malphite. He is AD damage, right? But Talon doesn't want to be going for the Malphite, right? Talon wants to be going for that backline, those squishy targets who have a lot less HP. But this Kaisa isn't far behind at all. She's quite accelerated. She has 3 kills. She's got a full item, and she's well on her way to her second with a call, right? So that call's going to help her get a second item, and I think this Malphite is going to get melted through, kind of. He's quite far behind in terms of gold compared to the carries.
Yeah. And, you know, being that far behind in gold is going to be a significant struggle for you heading forward. I mean, we can see here the gold breakdown, right? Zoe having a very impressive 6K at 14 minutes. Yeah, there's not going to be really too much that you can do to stop her. I mean, potentially later on when you have a Malphite with an ultimate that they're able to use aggressively instead of defensively, yeah, you can, you know, start to close that gap, sure, but it's still, somebody will have to die for the Zoe, and that's not really a situation you ever want to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, Zoe especially is going to be a character that's going to be incredibly difficult to pylon to, right? Because with that ult she has where she can kind of like jump in and out of a fight, you might try and ult her, and she might pop in and out, and she can also steal your summoner spell. So if you're flashing on her as a Trundle, you're giving her a flash out. So that's, you're really going to like, they're really going to have to try and find creative ways to walk into her, maybe with a Trundle pillar that, you know, she can't use and she can't run away from. Or else they're going to be, they need to engage on her, right? Otherwise they're going to get poked out, and they're going to need to find creative ways to do it, I think.
Yep. And, you know, in terms of creative options, there's the Syndra will need to farm very aggressively to really force her way back into this game. She's really behind on the farm. The Vayne is going to open up a lot of doors for you, but you still have to, you know, be able to protect her properly and make sure that she survives those early fight engages, because even a naked Zoe Q without this sleep to amplify it is still going to do a lot of damage to you. Now TSC's saving grace here is that a lot of the objective bounties have started to spawn, so that is going to be able to help them, you know, bounce back very, very aggressively. I'm surprised, honestly, that they have come up this early. It is only a 4K gold difference overall. That seems very, very doable for TSC at this stage in the game, at least.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things with League of Legends. Sometimes it's hard to know when those are going to spawn, right? Sometimes they seem very random. Sometimes they won't spawn until much later. Sometimes they won't spawn. They'll spawn really early. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to kind of, if they can get one tower, they'll get a huge gold injection back, right? There's shutdowns on the jungler, the mid laner, and the AD carry. So if we imagine a scenario where maybe Dragon, they take the Dragon, get a winning fight, they can get, you know, maybe 2-3 kills a tower, and just that they can get an immense amount of gold injection, get them right back into the game.
Yep. Yeah, that cash injection is definitely what you need. So it seems like this is going to be an extended pause. So we're going to be sending you guys all over to the break, and then hopefully we'll be right back with you. All right, we are back. For those of you still camping out with us, TSC versus TSM. TSC are starting to develop their own demanding lead. They are up 4K right now, but most of it is placed on the shoulders of this Zoe, with some of it immediately off the rip, getting down to too low HP. You know the Malphites, 3 ults, 3 escapes. It do be like that sometimes.
Yeah, that Zoe damage, even with all that MRE's build, that Zoe damage, just the bubble into the Q with the electrocute and the ignite, just so much total damage. And all that mid pressure seems to be netting TSC the Herald.
Yeah, no, Kaisa goes in deep, gets a nice kill onto the Senna there. Was caught a little off guard and is going to be converting that into a nice tier 1 turret there for the blue side. Talon is invading up there on the top, and they're going to start starving this Trundle slowly but surely.
That Senna was alone, so I don't know if she canceled her back or if she got canceled by the
Yeah.
Kaisa. I assume she got canceled because you can't be fighting the Kaisa alone, right? You're a support. And she's going for same as last game, a more Enchanter build. So this is an addition that was like pretty recent to Senna, I think like a year ago, where they like made like a full Enchanter build like pretty viable, where you like focus on healing and shielding instead of like being a second AD carry.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Although, personally, I would have liked to see a Black Cleaver here. Would really, you know, help elevate your Trundle, elevate your Vayne, and help them do more damage. But you know, there are also merits here to having the Enchanter build as an option.
Honestly, I would have also preferred the AD build because I feel like the healing and shielding is great if you're playing like consistent DPS front to back. But here, your main dangers are a Talon and a Zoe, who, if they hit you, are probably gonna 1 or 2 shot you anyways. So I'm not sure how much value you're gonna get off the heals.
Although it does enhance the shielding as well provided by the ultimate, so I guess that's your, you know, one claim to fame here. It does look like we're going to be going in for an all-out fight over the Hextech Drake, third Drake of the match so far. TSM looking to claim their second, but they're going to be zoned off of it slowly, and TSC are going to claim it as their own.
Yeah, second Drake for TSC. Hextech map with Zoe can be very, very impressive, right? Making that poke even worse, slowing everyone, making it easier to hit your poke as well. Yeah, it'd be very impressive if they can get to.
Yep,
and
they just solo killed the guys in the game.
Oh, they just killed each other.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, cheeky little trade in the bot lane. Both of the AD carries not really benefiting from that. Sure. I believe the Kaisa did have a shutdown, so Vayne does get a little bit more out of it. But yeah.
I mean, both AD carries get some gold. I think they're both happy. That's what AD carries like, right? They like gold.
Yeah, they like plenty and plenty of gold. There's going to be a siege on the mid lane tower. The Talon is getting chunked down slowly but surely. And they are going to be claiming the objective bounty gold. That's what we were talking about before the break, is that really allows you to start swinging that gold lead back in your favor. 30k to 33. It's as narrow as it's going to be.
Yeah, and I mean that shutdown on the Kaisa as well helps get it down. I mean, TSC answered back with a top lane turret, but again, they don't have that objective bounty, so overall it just helps equalize the gold for TSM.
Yep. And TSM's team comp, they do excel at those team fight positions. They do want to play those front to back fights like you mentioned. And it's going to be quite a while until they're going to be able to find themselves another one of those. The Talon does go in deep on the blue side jungle. WePlays flashes over the wall. The Trundle, though, gets knocked up by the Nautilus and is taken down afterwards. Talon was just a sliver of health.
Yeah, and that Trundle gets completely countered by the Talon ultimate. Everything is based on auto attacks. You just can't auto anymore when he's invisible, so he just ults, runs away, and you just get stranded in the middle of a team fight.
Yep. Now, looking over at mid, the Syndra unfortunately did almost secure the shutdown onto Zoe, but does get taken down afterwards. The Rift Heralds comes in to assist with the mid take, and it's going to be the mid tier 2 down, looking at ambitiously the mid tier 3 as well. The Herald charge does go through. Wow.
And that's a lot of damage with the grubs, right? A lot of damage. I mean, that's TSC getting... TSM, sorry, getting a lot more gold. And as we talked about last game, getting that mid tier 2 just opens up the map so much, gives you so much plays in the jungle and in the side lane.
Now Otacon has spawned. TSC have set their sights towards the beast in the bot lane. It is going to be another defensive Malphite ult, but unfortunately doesn't send him to far enough. The Zoe bubble still connects, and he's going to be the first one taken down. Potentially the last of this fight. It doesn't look like we're going to have too much left to go. The Trundle is running away from the Talon, but he just has too much mobility, especially with the ult in his back pockets. Is going to secure that kill, and the rest of TSM are sent packing.
Yeah, this Otacon is going to make the game a lot harder for TSM now. Not only is this going to give them a lot of, especially in high kill games, right, that we're seeing like this game and last game. Oh, engage, and an insta pop on that Senna. Probably walking in a bit too far there.
team's turret has been destroyed.
Yep, and now TSC fresh invigorated by that last couple of kills. Atacon in their back pocket. Drake coming back soon. There is plenty of momentum headed their way. Nice kill there onto the Syndra, just packing her up and taking her home. Yeah.
Does the sleep bubble count as a CC for the Kaisa passive? That's what I think she ulted on, right?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Yeah, so that's good synergy as well, right? You can really give your Kaisa lots of targets to engage on. And here, Vayne gets a tower, but might pay it with her life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the power of the Talon right there. You catch an AD carry off guard, and you're just able to take them down. There's no defensive items really at play, and none of them really could be, right? The only defensive boots, for example, that would make sense on a carry like Vayne in this match would be the Merc Trez, and that still wouldn't do anything to Mr. Talon's damage.
Yeah, I mean, you could think about, like, you see some attack speed carries build Terminus into Jack Show, but that doesn't work, that doesn't help much if you don't have time to auto attack, right? And against the Talon, you don't really get that time. And here, the Cho'Gath may be getting caught.
Yeah, exactly. And as they say, right, when you're ahead, you can build defensive. When you're behind, you need to go full offense. You need to invest as much gold as you can in just doing damage, because if you're able to live and not be a threat, then what's the point of living? Talon gets his flash forced out there by the Syndra. Ultimate almost takes his life. The Senna ult there narrowly misses him as well, and yeah, there's no catching him at this point.
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about at the start of the game with the Syndra R that's like targeted on the Talon. But the Syndra is so far behind. She just not do enough damage to kill his Talon. The Syndra's 4k gold behind, 3k gold behind, nearly 4k gold behind the Zoe, and that's more than a 4 Abaddon's worth of items for a Zoe. I mean, you can see she's more than an item behind, and she just doesn't do enough damage.
Yeah, Lichbane is a nice pickup here for the Zoe. Helps her farm a lot more aggressively, and also just mixes in a lot of good magic damage into her combos where she wants to be basicking anyways, unless the target is already asleep. We even see objective bounties coming online for targets that you wouldn't really expect, like we're seeing Cho'Gath here with a 100 gold bounty on his name, and even Kaisa after her untimely death in the bot lane before, she's starting to already rack herself up another 400 gold. So plenty of things to play for here for TSM. It's interesting in seeing how those really manifests in reality.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the power of the sleep into Q.
Yep. Especially when you're a squishy support. And Kaisa flashing really deep and using ultimate to its greatest, and just is not really respecting the trundle at all. Takes him down face taking his attacks, and TSC are just going to continue in and march on the base. They have nothing to fear, nothing to back away from. The only remaining member is TPing in back now, but it's not going to make it. And that's going to be game 2, 1 for TSC, tying the series back up 1-1.
What a quick game! That was an unexpected end. I mean, they were ahead, they were far ahead, but I didn't expect them to just kind of run down mid lane.
Yeah, the quick game and timer wise, but the toll it took on our hearts was something else. Really seeing TSC come back and send TSM packing, it's very exciting, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the series goes. Yeah,
1-1. I mean, I wonder if they'll keep the mid matchup this way, right? If they keep this role swap, because I mean, it's worked great for them. But I assume that that's what they also have, is this freedom that. So I assume this works very differently to the pro scene. In the pro scene, you choose first which person plays each role, right? You can have substitutes.
Yep.
So we saw some teams at Worlds have substitutes for top laners, right? And you swap them in depending on who you wanted to play. And then you get to do your draft, and then you can draft on those. But here it seems that they can first draft and then swap who plays what role. And that gives them a lot of flexibility, so they can draft first and see how the draft pans out, and they might use that and decide who gets to play what role, I guess.
Yep. So make sure everyone watching at home to stay tuned and see who plays what role. We'll see where the magical chairs lead us, and who gets to advance forward to the quarterfinals or to the semifinals. Sorry. We'll be back after a short break. Thank you.
Hello, and we're back for our third and final game. I am joined by Justin, our new caster, because we had a lot of pauses. So, welcome back for our last game, and we're gonna get right into draft. So
Okay.
we saw some very interesting picks last game. 2 games, different champs. We saw some Vayne being picked a lot, Senna being picked a lot. TSM has been really playing Vayne, Trundle, Senna consistently. So I wonder if TSC is going to try and ban that out, and we're going to be seeing that very soon, I assume. Okay, first ban by TSM. Hecarim. So they've been banning this all series. TSC's jungler appears to be a Hecarim main. Bans are remaining completely unchanged for now. And yeah, bans are unchanged. So TSC gonna keep banning the Diana, who had an incredible performance in the first game. Completely carried the game. And let's see if TSM keep up with their draft. Okay.
Okay. I think the Kai'Sa pick is very interesting here because usually when you pick Kai'Sa, a lot of times you gotta match her with a very good support that can help her throughout laning phase very well. Not to mention, if Kai'Sa stumbles down during lane phase, your team fights become really hard because the key of that team fight for a Kai'Sa team is the Kai'Sa. You need to be able to protect the Kai'Sa when she goes in and allow her to input all that damage into the enemy team. And she pairs up really well with Nautilus a lot of times as well. So I think the Nautilus pick from TST is also a very good pick against a Kai'Sa.
Yeah, last game we saw Kai'Sa with Nautilus, and they worked very well together. And I think this pick away is, as you say, just great. I mean, I don't know what they're going to pair with this Kai'Sa now. Maybe a Rel or a Leona, I'd assume. Those are, I'd say, the most common pairings. And I wonder what TSC is going to... I assume they'll pick an AD carry here, or they might pick a high priority mid. They do pick the Lucian. Lucian not. Okay. That's not that common.
I think it's not about the key pairing more. It's more about what they're more comfortable on, I think, here. Also, Lucian into Kaita isn't the worst pick, I'd say. Including with a Nautilus, it's a strong support. So in terms of laning phase, I don't think TSC wants to lose laning phase against the Kaita bot lane, and they want to still aim towards winning that bot lane fight so that the Kaita cannot impact the game further later on in the game.
Yeah, and we see the Ornn picked again here, has been picked or banned this series twice. So definitely an important pickup, going to help him get that engage. And I think they have to pick support here, right? I don't think they can afford to take 2 support bans for this Kai'Sa.
I think if they let the Kai'Sa's support pick go down into the second phase of bans, it's going to be really hard. And yes, they picked the Leona. I think it's a very good choice. I'm surprised. It's a bit interesting because Kai'Sa also pairs pretty well with Nico a lot of times as well. And Nico itself is a very strong support in laning phase as well overall. It's interesting that none of the teams actually would prefer the Nico pick, which is also somewhat of a hard pick as well.
Yeah, we saw Nico in the previous games, and it performed. It was slightly underwhelming, actually. The issue in the first game was mostly that there was an incredibly fed Diana on the opposite team, and the fed Diana would just one-shot the Nico before she could really engage, and that really just kind of counteracted the entire Nico engage. And now we see TSC with the Gwen pick into the Ornn, just good tank killer, good DPS, right? Great side lane potential.
I think TSC's idea is that they don't want to lose the top lane and bot lane matchups at all. They're confident with their mid laner's ability to be able to take up any bad choices that they could cover. I'm pretty sure their mid laners are probably have strong hero pools that they're very confident that they can pick any mid laners that of choice that's left over with the current bans.
Yeah, TSC is actually a very interesting team because they actually have swapped their players' roles between game 1 and game 2. So the game 1 they played Anivia mid, and then their mid laner went support and the support went mid lane, and their support picked Nautilus in game 2 as well. So I think they're gonna just kind of keep on the same strategy because it worked incredibly well.
Uh,
I am back.
yeah,
Good
some
stuff.
technical issues there.
Technical difficulties.
I lost my other caster for a second. Yeah, I think the Zoe ban is a very good idea considering you don't want to lose the lane when you go up against a mid laner and let the mid laner start having that influence over the entire map. Because mid lane is very crucial throughout any series where you don't want your mid laner to start losing that influence and basically be out of the fight, while you want your mid laner to be in that fight continuously and keep spreading that influence throughout the map, which let you control the side lanes as well. But not just the side lanes, you also keep the mid lane, which is so important for all the macro plays and running the game and running that snowball throughout the game.
Oh my! Oh wow! They do pick the Veigar. Okay, this will be a very interesting mid lane matchup. I feel like TSC's team comp is slightly AP heavy. This solution needs to not fall behind. If the solution falls behind, they're gonna have a hard time killing the Ornn and the Leona and the Trundle. It's a lot of tanks.
Yeah, I think the key thing for TSC is that they gotta win bot lane matchup very strongly. Not just that, they also gotta win the top lane matchup where Cho'Gath doesn't fall too behind to the Ornn, and then Ornn starts influencing the map overall with Ornn's team fighting ability. Meanwhile, Veigar's got to play a bit safer with the higher value and higher carry potential. Veigar needs to be able to get his stacks quickly throughout the game and start spreading his influence later on around mid to late game phase, I'd say. Very interesting pick with the Syndra, I'd say. Higher carry potential, but in terms of team fight and when it comes to objectives, Syndra tends to fall behind. But I'd say Veigar also somewhat falls behind, so it'll be a very interesting mid matchup, I'd say.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm also surprised by the Gwen pick here, which I initially thought to go top lane into the Ornn, and they go back to the Cho'Gath, which they played last game. So I guess I assume it's a Gwen jungle and a Cho'Gath top. They could technically be reversed, but since Cho'Gath was played top last game and is more often played top, I wonder how the Gwen jungle will perform. I don't know her clear speed. I know Trundle has a pretty good clear speed, and I assume she's probably a pretty good duel to Trundle.
So Gwen, I believe, when it comes to rank, I believe Gwen's played pretty well in jungle. I believe she comes out as top tier sometimes as well because of her strong DPS ability. Um, but I think it's very interesting from TSC is that they're very confident with their individual skills and their flexibility that they're able to make these very risky swap picks within the ban phase, which leads to TSM wasting bans onto jungles or top lane picks and leading them to gain that advantage in the ban phase. I'd say it's very important for Gwen to stay up and follow up the Trundle's tempo and not lose any objectives properly and be able to take part in those smite battles.
Yeah, which will be hard because Trundle is a well-known, very strong early game jungler, whereas Gwen, I know at least in top lane, takes some time to scale up, and I assume in jungle will take time as well, right? Kind of needs to get that Nashor's Tooth or those first item spikes to really get rolling, whereas the Trundle can really just off of no item but of Sheen, and once he gets Triforce, can just really win basically any 1v1. So
yeah,
I
Trundle's
think
very strong in terms of. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Trundle's very strong in terms of jungling in general and the clear speed as well. Not to mention the power of Trundle when it comes to objective fights as well, with his ability to control the area with pillars. It's very important for Gwen to be able to follow with that tempo and get that full clear quickly. I think the key thing we need to watch for is whether the Trundle will start looking for early ganks to either bottom lane or top lane and start ruining the matchups there so that their bot laner or top laner can get that lead early on in the game.
Yeah, honestly, so Justin, you just joined, so you missed the first two games, but the first two games were incredible because, especially at the start, we saw this hilarious, so in the first game, we had a Vayne top versus a Renekton, and the Vayne and the Ornn went up top, got a ward in the bush, and then the Vayne solo killed the Renekton in the first 2 minutes of the game, which made the game really hard to play. And to counteract that, TSC decided in the second game to adapt by sending a 5-man top into the bush, and so did TSM. So we had a full 5v5 in the top side at the game start. And I wonder if that's going to happen again. Kai'Sa versus Cho'Gath, I think, could definitely be played. It's not as oppressive as Vayne, I'd say, but it's definitely still a lane you could play if you want to play that swap. And TSM has been showing that they really like to play these swaps.
I think lane swapping in general right now is just very crucial for ADCs especially when it comes to losing lane matchups. It's very crucial. If you start losing and you feel that you won't be able to win back the advantage, you gotta call the swap quickly. And I think it'll be something to watch for as well. Whether the Kaisa decides to swap quickly and admit the defeat from Lucian, or will she try to continue on the laning phase and challenge the Lucian and say, I can beat you in laning phase. I'm a better ADC than you.
That's true. TSC's bot lane has been very consistent at having pretty good early games, and especially in the first game they got a pretty good lead through bot. I do think the support swap has slightly hurt their bot lane, but it is like the gain in mid is wholly justified, right? The mid matchup in the second game was very one-sided. They had a Syndra versus Zoe, and Syndra was 0-3 6 minutes into the game. So the Zoe was just pummeling her out of lane. They tried to swap the Malphite into the Zoe, but the Malphite was also getting pummeled out of lane. The Zoe was just too far ahead. And at that point, the Zoe was no one could 1v1 the Zoe, right? She would just poke you out of lane incredibly fast. And she was just creating so much tempo around the map. And then they took up to mid tier 2. And once you take that mid tier 2, you just open up the entire map.
Yeah. Once you lose that mid lane matchup, you gotta start swapping quickly, or you gotta start looking for ways to play safer. By the time you're 3-0 down, though, it's hard to recover, because not only are you behind, but the enemy mid laner is absolutely ahead and can just run down any lane whenever they please. So
yeah, and we are getting into game, so we're going to be swapping to the game right now. Let's see if they go for that fabled 5-man top once again.
I think 5-man top fights are very respectable. It's great to see people following that Orc tradition of meeting up in top lane and fighting it all out,
Indeed. Well, let's get started. I have a question for you, because this I think is a really hard one. Which team do you think scales better? Because both teams have really good scaling elements.
I think it's Team 1 eventually, because you have that Ornn who's just a master of scaling and a master of team fights, right? But not just that, you have Syndra, who's just purely a late game champion now. She doesn't have that much influence in the early game anymore, but with that nerf, she's also now able to influence further later on the game once she's able to scale. So with the Masterwork item buffs as well, I think Syndra, if she starts leading in lane, will be unstoppable. Not to mention the Kaita, once she gets those kills, Oh, but now we can see here, they're looking for that early first kill.
Yeah, flashed by the Lucian, and the stun, and yes, he does get the first blood. Wow, this bowling matchup that we were saying was going to be so important. Already a big swing.
Yeah, it's a bit rough for the Leona. Nautilus can close that gap quickly, and for Leona, who's really slow in terms of her movement speed, it's really hard for her to run away from that. She's got to be more aware when they're starting to chase. And unfortunately, the Lucian got the kill. Although, a good side from that is that both Nautilus and Lucian's flash are out. So for Kaita, she might need to lose a bit of CS, but she's not too behind. She also still has flash up, so in terms of matchup, it's still both ways,
That's true. And oh, the Veigar cage nearly hit there. Good cues. But to be fair, the Nautilus does have Hex Flash, which we all know is actually much stronger than Flash. And no, I mean, it does give him a slight advantage over the Leona, whose flash is down completely. He can try and do those scary, like, inside a bush, jump out and engage, or over a wall. So it'd be nice to see how we can utilize that advantage.
It's going to be very interesting to see in general. Although, I would say the first blood gives Lucian that 300 extra gold advantage. However, it's about now. So can the Lucian keep on with that lead? Or will he be able to snowball it further? I think is a real question. And for now, I think Kai'Sa's doing all right in lane, although somewhat behind earlier. Now she's ahead in terms of CS.
That's true. And I mean, the truth is, the Lucian's advantage won't really come in until he backs, right? So for now, I mean, the Leona died, but she died so early that she got to lane just right after the wave crashed. So in the end, really, they didn't lose that much until Lucian gets his first back, and once he does, he'll have that turn and gold advantage. And he does have a slight XP lead from the kill, but it's because there's 2 people, it's not as significant. And here we go, we get another engage. Nautilus hits a minion, and the Trundle is walking in, the Gwen is coming for a counter gank, and the Nautilus is already dead. The Gwen's counter gank is too slow.
that was the early gank that I talked about from Trundle that could happen, and it did happen. And it was very good from the Trundle as well, because level 3 gank, you could definitely expect it, but it's hard to react to, of course. And since it's Trundle, they can't really make a play, but it's a great idea to poke out the Trundle here. Although unfortunately, Veigar's E did not hit here.
But Vayne, sorry, not Vayne. Gwen still gets the kill with that Q3, really has that sticking power with that dash and those Qs, and maybe here can chunk the Leona, not gonna get a kill because of the stun. And as you said, as we talked about before, the Trundle clear speed really helps him there. He gets the clear before the Gwen, and the Gwen tries to counter gank, but she's just too slow. Trundle just gets like a 10-second, 15 seconds faster clear, and he just gets to play on the map faster.
Yeah, until Gwen starts getting those item spikes and you know, start being able to follow with that tempo, it's gonna be a bit hard for side lane matchups, because they'll always have to be aware of that Trundle being showing up for a gank. I think it's still great from TSC though, TSC, that the fact that they were able to get that kill on the end onto the Trundle again. So in terms of matchups, it's still pretty even, and I think the Gwen is now able to get that advantage on top of Trundle, since she's also started off with a kill.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't talk about was in that gank was great, helps the Kai'Sa out in lane, but the Leona got the kill, so the gold isn't on the character you want. The Kai'Sa is the one you want to really get that gold, get ahead. But in the end, the Leona's ahead, and the Kai'Sa is still basically even because of the CS differential, though.
That's right, and in terms of CS though, it's a bit concerning because Lucian's behind by at least 14 CS, and that's only gonna get wider. Oh, but the Leona gets another kill.
Wow, I mean, carry Leona here. Nautilus once again dead. I'd love to get a replay of that. He might have walked up too far. And, I mean...
It could have been a mishook from the Nautilus, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Because when Nautilus comes in, but if he misses, it's a death sentence, because Leona, with the Q, W, and E, the slow and the stuns, yeah, the Nautilus is never gonna be able to get out.
Yeah. Veigar is going for a very scaling build, playing Roa, so he's gonna be just farming and scaling. And here the Nautilus is back to redeem himself. Cleanse from the Lucian, ignite. The Kai'Sa is still alive, and the 2 junglers are coming in for a gank, and it looks like the play is over. Wow, that was so close.
There's no way the Kai'Sa lived with that much HP. It's gonna be horrible for Lucian now, because they already burned the flash for it. They used ignite. They used everything in their resources, even called the Gwen. So now the Gwen's also gonna slow down in terms of tempo, and it just ruined their entire lane. But not even getting a kill trade on that, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's just not great. On the top side, the Cho'Gath is doing pretty good into the Ornn, but the difference in CS doesn't mean much in this matchup, right? They're both tanks. They're both gonna be scaling. Generally, I feel like they're both...
It's a very respectable top matchup, I'd say. You know, the sweaty bruiser tank matchups.
I play
Is that gonna be a solo kill? Oh no!
Oh. I didn't think the Q would come up so fast. I guess he's got the cooldown reduction.
And with that kill, Veigar's gonna start getting his stacks faster. He's gonna be able to start influencing.
But Lucian here's taking
the mid lane matchup is starting to tilt a bit, I think.
Yeah, we saw that last game as well. Upa seems to be probably TSC's best player, and here Nautilus takes a roundabout path, and Lucian uses culling. I don't think he needed to, but will do some damage at the wave as well, help him push out. That roundabout path from Nautilus, there was no ward, but if there was, he would have walked around it, and gets basically a hook from behind on the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa can't do much, and is taken down. That's gonna help them get some damage on the tower, get a plate.
Yes, I was gonna say, it looks very risky for Kai'Sa to be playing that up and trying to get that extra turret plate. Although I do understand, because who doesn't want some turret plating, right? But sometimes when you see that your mid laner's dead, you have no vision in mid lane, your wave's behind on getting crashed into tower, you can't read that tower plating anymore because you don't know where they will be. You don't know where their support might be, and you know, within seconds you're gonna get instantly dove on.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I thought the Lucian had taken a bad back that she was getting free damage on the tower, but I didn't see that the Nautilus was really walking up there and just in that perfect position. And while that's happening, Trundle has used this time to get Void Grubs, which is great, but he's lost a lot of tempo on the Gwen because of this, right? Gwen is now 69 CS, and starting Drake. If you can get this Drake, this Infernal Drake, which will be very, very useful, especially with a Veigar, right? Getting that AP multiplication, they really want this Drake.
Yeah, it seems like TSM has no clue that Drake is being started. Although I'd say they should be quite aware because the moment they started Grubs, it's a signal for TSC to start Dragon because I like to call it the diagonal rule of the Rift, where if one lane's getting advantage with more people being on there, like top lane being with having Trundle on top, that means the other side, red team, should be getting that advantage on the other hand. And they're clearly doing that by taking all the objectives that they can, even stealing their jungle mobs.
I think Gwen can cook here in this 2v2 fight. Oh
yeah.
no, she can't. Oh, it was so close. If she had popped out a little bit sooner. Wow. And in mid lane, there was a double kill, so they can't come and help. They killed each other. That gives 2 kills over to the Trundle. That's going to really help in the jungle matchup. He's probably, oh my god, the Lucian with the flash.
A solo bolo from the Lucian. That's gonna be harder for Kaisa now.
Yeah, 2-0 Lucian, and the Leona tries to come in for the gank, but doesn't make it fast enough. The dash from the Lucian gives him that extra mobility, and he still has his cleanse for the further laning phase. And this is gonna make it really hard for Kaisa to lane.
Very hard for Kaisa now, and that Joe is just taking that one small first laning with the with Demolish. It's,
he's taking damage.
It's a very respectable top lane matchup once again. But bot lane, it's tilting towards Lucian now because for bot lane for TSC, the Lucian's the one that took all the kills. But compared to TSM, where Kaisa only got assists, so she's gonna be very slowed down in terms of item tempo, even though they were winning laning phase a lot. Although with this game, things might change here.
Oh, Nautilus buffers the ulti, and they might 2v3 here. The Trundle's already so low. The Lucian is just hitting them, and they can't fight this. They use both ultis.
Run away from the Nautilus. That was great from the Nautilus.
That ultimate, that was incredible. And they just completely 2v3 that gank. They nearly got a kill off of it. And they're going in.
And the Trundle is now very behind. If you can see, he's behind at least by 15 CS from, not 15, sorry, 16 CS from the Gwen, and Gwen's gonna keep scaling. And with that time, Gwen can also decide whether she wants to commit that influence and resources to other lanes and destroy the bot lane matchup, which it seems like she's trying to plan to do here.
Oh, and the Leona, this was so close, but the Leona is now alive, but so close. That culling was so close. He has the flash though, invest the flash. The Nautilus, knowing his limits, knows he can survive there. And they have to give up this tower, and Gwen is so good at ripping through these towers, so good.
Yes,
that's
now the Gwen's just gonna start snowballing. Not only that, the Lucian as well, with so much gold, is gonna be able to just destroy that bot lane matchup now. Yeah. And it's gonna be really hard for Kaisa to start catching up, especially after that loss. But it was good that they decided to back up and respect that, because if they stayed, it was gonna be worse, because that was gonna be a death sentence for them, because that's just gonna be an easy dive for Gwen and Lucian, who's also full condition.
For sure, yeah. I mean, Lucian with that first item had already completed. Now he's got 1.5 items basically. And I mean, look, you can see the Kaisa bot call is like, I need time to scale. I'm gonna need to farm that up. I can't play for the lane presence. I'm gonna need to farm up. And Trundle is going for a gank. The Ornhorn, he misses the Ornhorn.
Oh no!
Can they still make this work? Trundle still has pillar. I think this is still completely fine. Oh, and then knock up into the pillar. This is completely fine. Yeah, I mean, Cho'Gath does not have any mobility. Here with the grubs, Kaisa's gonna get quite a lot of gold back. Like, where? Oh, the Lucian's bot and the Lucian's mid taking over mid lane to try and hit that mid tower, which I think is a great
That
call.
was a bit of a disastrous swap, I'd say. I don't think it was communicated upon properly because it seems Veigar took too much time. When you're swapping lanes, you don't want to take too long. Although with the dive, they could just confirm extra advantage on top of the Kai'Sa, and it's not looking great for the Kai'Sa right now.
Oh,
And there
the
she
ultimate.
goes.
Yeah, the Veigar ultimate, that point and click, you just can't dodge, you can't do anything. And top lane, Ornn died. It seems Gwen was top lane and must have killed the Ornn.
It's disastrous for TSM. The alarms are going off on all lanes right now. Mid lane's the only one that's somewhat surviving, but other than that, all the other lanes, they're so behind. Even jungle is behind.
Yeah.
Right now, I'd say it's valid for Syndra to say jungle did, because where's my jungler all game? And you know, I'd say valid trash out at this point because you're keeping the Veigar mid, but your whole other lanes are just continuously dying in all the other lanes.
And even worse, the Veigar who you were keeping contained is now 4-1 by picking up kills on the other lanes. And now your laner is going to be hitting you out of lane and poke you out. And this Gwen is blowing in, and this Leona she's still pretty squishy. And oh, the Lucian and the Gwen just ripping through them. The Trundle though. Oh, the Trundle also getting ripped through. They get a kill back on Gwen, but I think the Syndra's going to die here. Oh, the Syndra will get out. Good stuns from the Syndra. But I mean, the issue here is really
overall this.
The
Yes,
issue is that
sorry.
this is still a 2-for-1. Yeah, sorry. This is still a 2-for-1 for TSC.
I think the Syndra's doing really well in terms of laning phase. She's trying to dribble out all the ganks and the attempts onto her. But the problem is in other lanes those attempts aren't happening, and the Kai'Sa now is gonna need forever to come back to life. The Ornn somewhat okay, but the Trundle is the problem. The Trundle's too behind to the Gwen. Gwen already with that Nashor's Tooth. She's bought Dark Sealed as well. She's got boots, and she's halfway to her second item. Meanwhile, Trundle is has got his first core item now, and still is finding his way through to the next item. It's gonna be a painful long time for TSM to actually scale back now at this point.
Yeah, this Trundle might just become a press ult on Cho'Gath bot, and that's probably what's gonna happen, right? I mean, we saw it happen in pro play sometimes. And to be fair, you're right, the Syndra is doing great in mid lane. I mean, she's up 30 CS, but this Gwen, look at how she tears through objectives now. Just so much attack speed.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard for TSM. Whenever the Gwen comes in for the team fights, they gotta be really careful. They can't take any more fights in very disadvantaged situations like earlier where they're taking 3v4s and 2v3s. They're down champions, they're losing in that number disadvantage, and they're still fighting for it. And they don't need to do that. Sometimes you gotta kite quickly, you gotta give people that you can give, but they're not doing it, which is very respectable. But on the other hand, you're giving them so much advantage.
And I think this is a game where the gold lead really doesn't tell you the real story. So the gold lead's only like 1.5, 1.6, but the real story is that the Leona is up 500 gold, right? Your Ornn isn't down any gold, so the gold difference is all on the jungle and the AD carry, and that's not where you want that gold difference to be, right? You're further behind than it seems because the carries are who have the gold.
That's right. TSM, the Leona's holding a lot of gold as well with the kill. The Kite is the one who needs those gold. I think for now, TSM needs to respect a lot of pressure from TSC, and whenever they're pushing in, TSM needs to respect that and just leave and try to take advantages on the other side of the map. Because when TSC is pushing on one side of the map, that means there's open chances on the other side of the map, and that's when they should try to push, rather than trying to go 50-50 in lane.
For sure, and I mean, look at that damage on that Kai'Sa. I mean, and also Kai'Sa's, you can look at Kai'Sa's itemization. Kai'Sa has a static shiv that's not a 1v1 item. You can't really fight. Nope, that's a good chunk damage, but that's not gonna kill. See, that's what you're talking about, the respect. You have to back off, you have to TP out. And ult invested, but the Nautilus buffers it again, and he's gonna die, but they invest so much, health bars are low. Okay, they still survive, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to dive this Lucian. Okay, Lucian backs
I think
off.
it's
He knows
already
he can't
enough that they're
hold it.
getting mid tower here. It opens up the map so much for them that, you know, the painful darkness on the map is now going to be able to get cleared out with this mid tower being cleared, and it's so much easier now that the Lucian has to pick up wave from further behind in mid, and just by a single second, TSM is actually back in the game, and I'd say in a very good position as well now. With those kills on the Kaisa finally coming in, the Kaisa's actually getting the gold that she needs.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we see the Veigar there taking a bit of a greedy line, trying to move back in between the turrets. And this Trundle cannot walk into contest this blue buff. There are two people there. The Q hits, the Q from the Gwen as well. And he's just completely burnt through. That's what we were talking about in the jungle matchup. See, that's the advantage of also having that top tier one gone, right? You can walk up into that jungle, your top laner can come help, and then he can push back out the top lane. That's the importance of taking these turrets, and the mid turret is the most important, because as we all see, you can, if you have the mid turret, you can walk through the enemy's jungle like it's your own. And this Nautilus here is taking so much damage, Q's out, and it's not fast enough. Wow, we are seeing kill after kill, and the Rift Herald's popped in the mid lane, but is not going to take the tower.
Yes, I was surprised with that Rift Herald, because I thought they'd actually use it to actually ram into the tower and try to look for a team fight. And I think that might have been what the Nautilus was waiting for as well. But instead, the Gwen decided to turn away and start just taking jungle camps instead, which I'd say is a valid way to increase that lead against the Trundle. But at this point, you should be trying to snowball by killing that Kaisa off clearly for good. And, you know, now that the Kaisa's got the kills, she's got that edge to start catching up again. Not to mention the Syndra as well with the kills now. It's going to be harder for TSC to actually try to win those team fights easier with a stronger carry.
Yeah, but that Gwen is, as we were saying, incredibly far ahead. 181 CS, 123. Rabadon's completed its second item, and Trundle doesn't even have a second item left. Rabadon's, I think, the second most expensive item in the game, if not the behind IE, I think. And Trundle doesn't have his second item, which is Spirit Visage, which is a lot cheaper, so you can tell he's incredibly far behind Gold. And an Anakan team
It's
fight
a bit
here.
interesting that they're deciding to fight now, considering Trundle's actually not with his second item yet.
And
You can
Trundle's
see
getting
how fast
completely
Trundle
burned,
melted.
and he's dead.
And it was such a
Stun,
poor
though.
decision to decide to go for that team fight, because your Trundle is still behind in terms of items. And TFT has zero intent to actually go for those team fights. I feel like calling an Alpha fight so early without the item spike and without the tank items for the Trundle, it was such an unnecessary move to try to take the Atacam fight.
It was so, and now they're gonna take the Anakan as well, because the issue here is it's a 1-for-1 because they got the top laner. Oh, and the support now, but the issue isn't that. The issue is the lack of smite. The issue is the Trundle's
Exactly.
finally now
No
coming up,
jungler
and
means no objective.
yeah, they have no champs that can really. There's no Varus or like Jinx. They can kind of try and contest with their high damage spells, but now TSC is extended too far. They tried to get the Anakan and they didn't have the tempo to do it. Trundle's gotten back up, and there's gonna be a fight here probably.
Yes, I think TSD didn't realize that they weren't in great conditions. What they should have seeked for was to let the Nautilus back home quickly and come back and try to look for that Octa fight.
And a big fight here.
But now
Leona
without
will
the support,
miss
there's no
this.
engage.
But the Cho'Gath is just stranded. Oh my. I mean, what the Cho'Gath tried to do. Oh, and the Kaisa's ulting in.
What a dodge
flash
from the
in.
Nautilus's hook.
And Lucian
And the
is solo
Trundle,
killing the
marking that
Trundle.
Lucian. It might be an ace here. Can the Kaisa snipe the Lucian?
No, I
Oh,
think
she
he's
has
too
no
far
intent.
away. He's too far away.
But that was just a disastrous team fight. That was a very disastrous call from TSC. They were in the lead. They had the advantages. They didn't need to force the Otacon fight. I feel like rather they could have gone for Otacon first before the Drake, which would have
Yeah, I
made
totally agree.
TSM respect that, right?
And now the Syndra is 2,000 gold up on the Veigar, which just equalizes the lead in jungle. And Kaisa's gone back. She's 400 gold down only. The gold lead has been minimized. I mean, Your Cho'Gath is up gold, but that doesn't really matter. Your Ornn's gonna be bringing so much value as passive. At level 17, he'll basically be giving your entire team 5,000 gold worth of stats and items. So really, like, I think TSM is really happy with the spot they've gotten. And they've gotten the Otacon, which is a permanent buff. It's gonna give them a lot of XP and adaptive force.
Also, not to mention, they have Ornn with the Masterwork items as well, which gives them so much more value with their items. It's gonna be very dangerous for TSC now, because now that the Syndra and the Kaita has started scaling, they won't be able to start that snowball easy enough, and the teamfights are gonna be much harder. But TSC, with that quick gank onto the Syndra and the Trundle, who overextended too far, that is a very good kill onto them, stopping that snowball speed from the Syndra and slowing them down, although they will have to give that mid turret to Kaisa.
But no, TSM doesn't have a wave. TSM has no wave to take the mid turret. They can't pressure it. There's no counterplay. There's no cross map.
That's right. They weren't able to get that tower in time. I thought the Kaisa might have enough damage, but the minion wave burnt down much faster than expected.
And it's the opposite. It's TSC
doesn't have those items to go onto the side lane right now, as you can see. He's always forced out by the Veigar, so they're not able to pressure top wave as well. So in terms of snowballing, it's a bit harder for TSM at the moment. However, it is a concern for TSC, because if this continues like this, where they're going pretty much 50-50 still, the Trundle's gonna start getting his items soon. He's already got Spirit Visage, he's already got that Trinity Force, and soon, once he gets his third item, he'll be much more tanky to the Lucian and will be able to carry in those team fights. Not to mention the Ornn with the tank items coming up already. He's got the Hollow Radiance with Masterwork upgrade. So it's looking very hard for TSC when it comes to team fights. They'll have to continue trying to cutting off those side lane advantages.
And here we see the Leona kind of getting on the calling, but the Leona's, I think it's her W that gives her so much armor and magic resist. The ulti, oh, but she is dead here. Too much mobility, and the Trundle, Lucian is going very deep here, very, very deep. Oh, he has to back off. The flashing invested, we have an all-in the bot lane as well, but here we see the Trundle is tankier than before, right? And Cho'Gath does do good damage to tank with his E. He does have extra damage to high HP targets.
Execute as well.
And he has the ult. He does eat him. That's one more stack, more HP. And this Cho'Gath does have heart steal, so he does scale pretty well. And a Nautilus ult here, maybe some good damage. Oh, an absolute one-shot with the Veigar. Yeah, that's the danger of the Veigar.
The Syndra still did good enough damage onto the Lucian as well. I think the Lucian's out of the fight for a bit. Although
he definitely is, but the Trundle can't really jump on it, right? He doesn't have flash. So as long as he maintains his distance, he can stay
still
safe.
Behind in gold a lot. He's behind by almost 100 CS now. The Trundle can't really come into fights easily. And that they gotta give this Drake. They have no mid laner. They have no top laner. It's exactly what TSC should have been looking for, and they've done it exactly as they should have. The Nautilus actually coming in very close from the sides, getting those picks, getting those stuns onto their carries. The Nautilus is just roaming around the map and exerting his influence throughout the map. It's very good to see. And TSM not being able to catch on onto those quick side ganks from the Nautilus and the Gwen. They're taking those bat fights once again, like I said earlier. And they're taking they're losing in terms of.
Trundle is chasing him, but he can't chase this far. He can't chase this far. The Gwen is here, and the Gwen is just melting him. And now the Troy's here, and they can't even get the Nautilus. The Nautilus is alive. And he's baited his team into a team fight that they can't win now. The Gwen is, I mean, they can win, but it's... Oh, the Syndra has burst the Gwen. But the Cho'Gath is so big. The Cho'Gath is so hard to kill. The issue is Syndra has been on these items for so long. I was thinking, you know, we have to watch when she gets the Rabidons, but she still doesn't have the Rabidons. That gank she suffered where she got killed has slowed her down even more. And now, I mean, we're just waiting for Syndra to get her Rabidons. He finally has it. Probably gonna get the Ornn upgrade soon, because Ornn is level 16 and he's only upgraded 2 items, so he's got another upgrade he can give out. He's probably gonna be upgrading that Syndra's items, which will give her extra AP. And so she's finally going to start dealing good damage.
As you can see, the Veigar now with the power and the stacks, his shots doing so much more damage than before. Kaisa and Syndra, even with 2 of them, they can barely walk up to the wave. and try to clear those waves against the Veigar with so much wave clear and so much power. He has so much reach as well and range.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard for TSM now that they've just allowed TSC to take those advantages by taking those poor fights. It's gonna be it's gonna take them a miracle team fight to actually try to flip this over now. The game is very, very much in the hands of TSC at the moment.
For sure. And I mean, if you want to see something that will tell you what the state of the game is, you can look at the map. The side lanes were both extremely pushed in, right? Incredibly far pushed in. That just means that TSM can't really push far on side lanes. They know that the issue is that their mid is pushed so far in that they don't know where the enemy is. And the enemy could just be anywhere on the map. So if they push too far on side lanes, they have an incredibly high risk of getting ganked, and they just can't take that risk this late into the game. The death times are too long. And that just means that
Exactly.
they just have to kind of let TSC play their game.
Exactly, and you know, the fact that your waves are pushed in means you can't come out to your own camps as well to get those vision. They're giving up all the vision of the entire map. You can see how comfortable it is for Team Red, for TSC. They can see the entire map easily. The only area they don't have control over is Baron, but that's only because TSM just pushed in and cleared the vision out of there. Although
But
very
Lucian is
good catch
caught.
up to Lucian. The Lucian
cleanse-
is dead.
the cleanse is
Now
not
it's a
enough.
very good
It's a
fight
huge
because
shutdown.
Baron's out.
That's 1,000
Baron's
gold
out.
to the 1,000 gold.
Kaisa,
Actually, to the
and now
to
they
the
gotta fight
Trundle.
without their carry.
And they don't have vision. There's a pink ward in the pit blocking the vision. And are they giving?
It's hard
They-
because they haven't cleared out the vision, and while they were trying to clear it out, the Lucian overstepped,
yeah, the Orange
and now
Horn.
they're looking for a fight, but the engage
Giving them
is
space.
just not there. They should have rushed the Baron. They should go back to Russia, call them back
They are
in,
going for
and
it.
try to look for a very advantageous fight after setting up position first.
Lucian is still quite far away from spawning. Got 9 more seconds, but he has Hex Gates to
Going
get
for the
back.
burst. They're going for the
Oh,
burst.
wow, it's not
no.
enough to kill.
Amazing damage from the Veigar. The Veigar's pushing them all out.
And they can't just burst the Baron because Gwen and Cho'Gath are still alive. This might be a bit deep, but the Gwen is in, hitting ulti on so many targets, gets so much healing, so much damage.
Huge
And
Leona stun and
Lucian is-
Orb stun as well. The kites are getting so much damage in right now. But the airborne and the Cinder's back.
Oh, the
It's
head
looking
boys are
hard for the
also
Lucian
low. The
back
Lucian is
now.
back. The Lucian is back. He can finish the fight. They win this fight thanks to the Lucian coming back just in time. But I don't think
But
either team
unfortunately
can
for
force match
TFT,
now.
they cannot take any advantage in terms of objectives because they have
might
to
be able to
respect the
take
Kite
mid
and
lane tier
Cinder
2.
still being alive. But they can take the towers for sure. But
No,
yes,
he's
it's an
backing
advantage,
off.
but they won't be smiling as much because they gave those shutdowns to Team TST's carries. And the Syndra now with the 8 kills, she's got another rod, and they're looking for that dragon fight quickly. But their Gwen's
Yeah,
down.
it's all about this dragon, but I mean they have
It's
Cho'Gath
a very
feast,
risky
right?
fight. It's a
I
very
think they
risky
can
fight.
secure-
If that Leona
they
gets
will
that
secure
hit
this.
onto...
Because
Will they
Cho'Gath's
secure it?
speed is like 2,000 true damage. He
Oh,
doesn't
but the
eat it.
Syndra sees it!
He doesn't
What a
eat it.
steal from the Syndra, but the Nautilus is back! And I think the Titan is dead here for sure! Good flash, but the Trundle
The
can save
Trundle, the Trundle's
Kaisa.
peeling. The Trundle peels, and they're out.
Huge
Oh my
feeding from the
god.
Syndra as well. An amazing team fight from TSM keeps them in the game. The Syndra with the steal on the dragon. They had to be careful because you gotta carry that Syndra W. Although the Drake is definitely in the hands of TSC, it's the advantage fight for them because they're down that one support. It's gonna be a very easy fight for TSC. They just have to set up in a very good position and get that engagement with the Nautilus. One downside is that the Nautilus is still missing that ult from him because of that earlier fight, and the Gwen
my God,
cannot
the
be bursted here.
The Gwen took so much damage, and the Lucian is already dead. The Lucian is
It's a
already dead. The
horrible
Gwen is
team
nearly
fight.
dead. The Gwen is nearly
Gwen's
dead.
dying, but Gwen's dying, and the Veigar's still full condition. It's amazing. It's a great team fight. The Cho'Gath still on the scene. And it's an amazing team fight for TSC. And they get the man. They get everything they wanted, and the Horde is not able to instill it from the team fight as well.
Leona is back, but she's too late. She's way too late.
It's
oh
too
my god.
late for TSM. It
But
started
can
off
they do
great
this
with
Baron?
for TSM.
I don't know if they can do this Baron. They can't do this Baron. They only have 2 tanks and a Veigar, and Veigar's Baron damage is incredibly low. Veigar's
They
Baron damage
gotta
is
care
too
for the
low.
Leona as well because their conditions aren't great. It's a good idea to call for the recall quickly. The Cho'Gath, he doesn't have to recall because he's still on good condition. He's got half HP as well. He can just carry the wave in mid. The Veigar
his
needs to
passive,
back
he
and
heals
quickly
up
get
as
his
well.
items. And the items for Veigar is very important because that team fight just gave Veigar so much gold. He will want that item spike instead and start being that impenetrable carry for TSC. And the game is looking very good for TSC at the moment. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get that Drake earlier. They weren't able to get that Baron, but they can start clearing out Vision first, and they can start setting up for a better team fight too.
Yeah, they need to get this Baron. This dragon here, right? TSM is incredibly happy. They managed to stall out the Nash, and before that, they managed to just like trade a 1 kill for a dragon, which when TSC is 1 away from Soul, is just you'll take that every day, every game. You're so happy to take that. If TSC get this Soul, the game gets so much harder. And this game is on a nice edge. I mean, the gold lead is 4,000 in the favor of TSC, but as we talked about, those Horn items, and he's level 17, are giving his team 5,000 gold, 5,000 gold's worth of stats. So the gold lead is basically even.
That's right. In terms of team fights, though, definitely the carries are much stronger, and the side lanes are much stronger, and the Gwen about to get another solo kill here. So
The Nautilus-
it's looking really dire for TSM.
And they get a kill onto the Trundle as well. Oh, that is very dangerous. They can now force this Nash. They're down 2 of their main tanks, and they have no smite for the Nash. Oh, but they cannot let... Oh my god, they can't let themselves be bursted like that. They can't... They have to be very careful on the Syndra. The Syndra is incredibly powerful. She has 4 items and upgraded Ornn Rabadons. She has so much damage. They're not gonna go for the Nash.
That's right. I think it's a good call from TSC as well. They're respecting the power of the Syndra. They don't want to take that risky team fight and give them a chance to actually flip it over. Although I do think they want to pressure that Vision, make it uncomfortable for TSM so they can't walk up to that riverside easily.
Cho'Gath is gonna play Bouncer here, trying to like block the bush, trying to block him from coming in. And here we go. The Leona is trying to find the edge, but there's nothing here. There's nothing there. There's a 3. Oh, massive stun! So much damage. The Kai'Sa dashes in, getting 1 pop, and just... Oh my god, the Veigar missed his Q. And she's about to get a quadra kill here. She's about to kill this tank. The Cho'Gath can't do anything without his team to support him. And it's a 4v1. It's a 4v1. They can maybe end here. They're gonna look for the end.
It's
Oh
a
my
disastrous call from TSD, I think. They overestimated their own powers. Yes, they can get that Baron bust, but they don't have a Nautilus there to help with that engage. And now they're just like forced out. They're destroyed by the Syndra's power.
I think it's game over.
Here.
There's no way they can save this here. The Nautilus can't do much. The wave is there and the towers are down. The wave is here and yes, it's game over. Oh my god.
It's an amazing flip from TSM.
Great team fighting from TSM.
Yes, that's right. And it was that one team fight that they had to look for because they weren't too behind in the game. In terms of their main carries, who it was Kai'Sa and that Syndra, they weren't behind in terms of gold too much. They kept following up with the tempo, although the Trundle wasn't able to tank enough. Sorry?
No,
Oh.
no, queuing.
So the Trundle, even though he wasn't able to follow with the tempo, is still tanky enough in terms of the team fight. And the Ornn, with that massive work upgrade, just ended that team fight completely and gave them the item buff.
Yeah, I mean, that was... Wow, I mean, I honestly think they could have won that team fight. I think if their positioning was better, the issue was they're all trying to rush out of the Baron pit. They're all trying to leave. And the Baron pit's like this, and they just try and run out. And the Syndra's right there and hits a 3-man stun, followed by the Q on top. And that damage just wipes out their entire team instantly. That Syndra with 4 items does so much damage. And that's the Syndra versus Veigar matchup, right? They both have so much damage. Is who can hit more and who can hit faster. And in that team fight, they were just too clumped up, and the Syndra just got too much value, I think.
I think they rushed the Baron call too fast. They started feeling that pressure of the scaling Kai'Sa and the scaling Syndra, that they started feeling that we have to start ending here, which is why they called for that Baron rush. However, even though they were able to get that Baron. They should have looked for the team fight rather, because the moment they're trying to get out, the Syndra with that area clear, the Leona with the ult that can control the region so much, they can't kite it out forever, especially without the Nautilus who can help them kite it out with his ult. It was
For
a
sure,
disastrous fight,
yeah.
an amazing team fight from TSM.
And then the Veigar is stuck in the backline trying to fight a Kai'Sa, but because he doesn't have Nautilus with him, the Kai'Sa is running around, and it's so hard to hit your spells on a Kai'Sa who has all that movement speed with that spell that gives her even more increased movement speed. And she had an item that gave her movement speed. She's just running around, so she's just unhittable, and she can just auto him down. And at that point, there's no damage dealers left, and it's just a Cho'Gath, and he can't do anything alone.
That's right. And unfortunate for TSC, they had the game in their hands. They had it right in their clutches. They could feel it coming, but those poor and unfortunate decisions to take those poor team fights, take those poor objective calls, it led to them losing that game. And next time, I don't know if there will be a next time, if they make sure they make those right calls in the future, they'll definitely come back a much stronger team for sure.
For sure. And congratulations to TSM for this win. And they'll be moving on to the semifinals now. And I mean, good luck to them. We saw some great team fights, and I hope to see how they progress in the next games. Thank you all for watching, and see you, I think.